Welcome to a sparkling new podcast from Mike Parry and Mike Graham. We're the two Mikes.
Actually, it sounds even better when you do it Dullsville, because when you try to be happy and excited and energetic, you sound pathetic.
Thanks. Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry, you're listening to the two Mikes on Talk Sport. What a weekend that was. My tips, Chelsea and Arsenal both got through to the FA Cup final. Lionel Messi fired Barcelona back to the top of La Liga. We saw Pixie Lot at the London Stadium and then went to the Old Firm Scottish Cup semi-final at Hampden with Sir Rod Stewart. We've got plenty to talk about this morning, including why football's big money is now heading south and not north. 08717 22 3344. Coming up on the show, we'll have a host of special guests, plus we'll bring you the latest instalments of Heroes and Villains. Plus, of course, we might tell you a little bit about what we got up to over the weekend. You're listening to the two Mikes with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes, and I'm delighted to say that here he is, the man, the legend, Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
That's nice. What have you been on? You've been on the Funny Fags overnight?
Well, I mean, I can't say that there are many people I know
Yes.
who have sat in a car with Rod Stewart and decided to sing one of his own songs to him in his presence without asking him if it's all right first.
Well, it was a bit of a joke, actually. I mean,
it was a bit of a joke. I was highly embarrassed.
So somebody started moaning, and so I said to them, "Stop moaning! You are moaning! You are moaning!
Good
you
moaning.
are moaning!"
Yeah.
But that was a bit of a laugh. First of all, I want to say
I'm
a big
surprised
thank
he
you.
didn't have you thrown out of the cab by his very good mate Big Al, who was there.
Well, I'm pretty surprised at that myself. Yeah. First of all, I have to say a tremendous thank you to Sir Rod Stewart, because to invite us up to join him, in the confines of his private jet and with members of his family was a tremendous privilege, and it was a fantastic day. Thank you very much indeed.
And he also wanted to educate us about the Old Firm and what an Old Firm derby was like.
Well,
now,
we certainly got educated.
Both of us had been to one before, but it was very, very interesting to be in the particular place that we were in watching it all, because we were right in the middle of the stadium at Hampden.
Yes.
And to the right, there's an incredible sea of green and white, which was all the Celtic fans, and to the left, the Union Jacks and the blue and white and red of Rangers. And what a contrast, because their fortunes are so contrasted.
Well, that's right.
And how terrible it must have been, and we were saying this yesterday, to have been a Rangers fan for the last few years must be soul-destroying.
Utter misery. I mean, the Celtic fans were chanting at one stage, champions, champions, champions. Now, the fact that Rangers have gone through such an appalling period of their history is not Celtic's fault. So, of course, the Celtic fans are chanting champions, 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 because one of these days, maybe, the boot will be on the other foot. So you enjoy your success while you're enjoying it.
The trouble is, looking at Rangers play yesterday, and they didn't really have much in the way of teeth at all. I think Kenny Miller's first shot on goal was around about sort of the 40-minute mark.
It wasn't even on goal, was it? Went over the bar.
Over the bar, yeah. But, I mean, the first time he even looked like threatening the goal.
Yes.
But we saw Gordon Strachan there, didn't we? Who was on very good form.
He was in great form.
And he said to us, everyone says, Rangers are sitting back and they can't, they're just trying to contain Celtic. He said they're not. He said they can't get out of where they are. They can't get out of their own penalty area.
No, that's absolutely right. Gordon was in terrific form. I said to him, well, next time we're here, Gordon, we may see you down there in the dugout. He said, yeah, you may, or he may sit me up here again. Depends how things go between now and then.
Yeah.
Talked, of course, about
the Scotland-England game, June the 10th.
Exactly, that's right.
Are we going up there for that, by the way?
Well, we're working on that one. Now, what I was going to say to you was, what was utterly brilliant about Hampden Park yesterday was that because of the way that the ticket rules go these days, the percentages that the away team get, you never really see an old-fashioned divide of fans like you used to. When I was a kid, I used to go to Everton-Liverpool games, where half the ground was Liverpool and half the ground was Everton. That doesn't happen anymore because of seating and restrictions on numbers. But yesterday, that stadium, Hampden, was exactly 50-50.
Yeah.
And we were sitting almost on the halfway line, I would say. And as you quite rightly
right above
say,
the tunnel, weren't we?
Yeah, to our right and to our left, green on the right, blue on the left. What I thought was incredible, obviously the Celtic fans were the ones who were doing the celebrating. This sort of huddle thing they do, and they turn round and all jump up and down.
Yes.
There must be a scientist somewhere in California who runs one of these seismic laboratories, waiting for the next San Francisco earthquake.
The big one.
Who must have reported some kind of seismic earthquake coming from a northern part of Europe.
Yes.
Because I'm amazed the stadium was able to sustain it. The celebrating was so vociferous, so loud, so energetic, so physical, and so joyous for all those Celtic fans.
This is what I was saying as well about being a Rangers fan. They didn't have much to cheer about. They had a few moments, literally moments of both halves, where it looked like they might actually do something.
Yes.
But it got nowhere. And in the end, it was quite sad for the Rangers fans because in the end, all that's happening is Celtic fans just making fun of them.
Yes.
Absolutely, taking the mickey out of them at every opportunity.
As you would in such a fierce rivalry.
I mean, at one point, they were all just waving at them. It was 5 minutes to go.
Some people
Celtic
near us were waving
up.
at them.
Some people near us were waving at them. But then some of the people near us were very big Celtic fans.
Yes,
We don't give too much away.
Exactly.
The other thing that I found amazing about Hampden yesterday was the size of the technical area. I mean, Brendan Rodgers just been on the Alan Brazil Sports Breakfast talking about a great many things, and obviously he's doing a great job up there, right? But how big is the technical area at Hampden? It's half the size of the football pitch.
It's the size of a table tennis. It's the size of a tennis pitch or a baseball
pitch,
a tennis court or a basketball court. The other thing, which
we'll talk about Ilina Stasi later.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a shocking story, isn't
it?
Shocking. But the other thing that struck me was that yesterday, after that Rangers game, there was a Rangers Player of the Year dinner.
There was, which I had suggested should be cancelled on the grounds that they haven't got one.
I know, and the amazing thing is, last night I saw some pictures being circulated of some Rangers players who seemed that. It
looked as if they won the league.
They look quite happy. Now, I'm not denying them the right to go off and have a celebration at the end of the season, but the season's not over yet. They've got another game this weekend, and guess what? It's another Old Firm game.
At Ibrox this time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
we're not going to that one.
We're not going to that one, and that's going to be a very tough fixture for them. So I'm not sure whether that dinner was rather timely. As I say, I'm not making judgment, but it's all about perception.
Well, maybe they were hoping that if they organised it on the same night as the Cup semi-final, that would bring them good luck. Sadly, it didn't work out that way.
No.
And also over the weekend, of course, there were lots of other teams that didn't get any luck, including Spurs. I've got this from Francis, who's tweeted me. You can tweet us at the Two Mics, of course. He says, "Good morning, MG. Can you please thank Porky for jinxing Spurs in the semi-final?" We'll be interested to hear his spin on that because you were sure that Tottenham were going to beat Chelsea, and I think you were pretty sure that Manchester City were going to beat Arsenal as well.
Listen, all I can do is give my valid opinion. If people don't want to take my valid opinion, that's up to them.
When you say valid,
yes,
and surely it's for others to decide whether it's valid.
Valid and valued, I think you'll find, are two words which can interconnect there.
Well, you can say valued.
Yes. Now, the other thing is, I don't want to get into that. The other thing is, at West Ham on Saturday, I nearly got the opportunity to meet another singing superstar. Not quite as big a superstar as Sir Rod, because there are very few people on this planet who are.
Very few.
But a young lady who was launching her new single at half-time in the Everton-West Ham game.
I think it might be called Baby.
A Baby, and I came to within an ounce, I think, an ounce or an inch.
I think an ounce is a weight of measure.
An ounce of, duetting with Pixie Lott.
Duetting.
The only thing...
Well, you've become Italian now.
I hope I didn't...
Duetting.
I hope I didn't mark my card unduly.
What do you mean?
Well, I thought it was Lady Gaga until somebody took a turn round and I saw the word Pixie on the back of her shirt.
Yeah,
I realised
that was the giveaway.
That gave me the clue.
Yes.
Up till then.
Well, I'll tell you what. Knowing what we do about that West Ham Everton game, certainly Pixie Lott performing her single was about the most entertaining thing that happened in London Stadium that day.
It was a highlight.
It was
of
terrible.
The 90 minutes.
Absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
But what a magnificent stadium, as we said. I mean, I thought it was a great place. A lot of people were giving it a hard time, saying that it's not meant for football. I thought it was a terrific venue.
Everything about it's great. Inside, it looks big and powerful. The roof closes in on you, which gives it a great sense of...
Does it?
Yes, it does. The roof goes up and then it comes into the pitch. Some grounds...
I thought you meant it was moving.
No. It comes in on you. What I mean is it creates a bowl-like effect, which I think is most reminiscent of the Millennium in Cardiff.
A bowl-like effect?
Yeah, bowl-like effect, yeah. And a bowl-like effect means that the noise echoes around, as it does in a stadium like that. The approaches outside to the stadium make it look like a big place.
Yes.
I think West Ham have done a great job.
I think so too, absolutely right. This is the Two Mics on TalkSport with Wix. Get 20% off all ready-to-fit kitchen products when you spend £75 or more, including kitchen units, appliances, worktops, sinks, taps and accessories. This is TalkSport. We are the Two Mics. We've got loads to talk about because we've got La Liga to talk about. El Clasico was a fantastic event, right? We've got, of course, the semi-finals of the FA Cup down here to talk about.
We certainly have.
We've got more stuff to hear about our trip with Rod Stewart, Sir Rod Stewart, of course.
But right now, I want to talk about the North-South divide.
We're going to talk to a very, very important man, Ray Wilkins, a man who's played football all over the world, in fact, you would say.
And certainly in the north and south of England.
Now, tell us why there is this North-South divide.
Well, let me tell you this, right? Ollie Holt, who's a top Fleet Street man, bail on to Sunday columnist. He wrote a piece yesterday which encapsulates what people are thinking at the moment. The north-south divide that could really split the game. But I think goes even further than what Ollie said. You know, he makes the point that teams like Leeds and Blackburn are in decline.
Yeah.
Whilst down on the south coast, teams like Bournemouth and Southampton and Brighton are on the up. And is that because the wealth of the nation, which is largely, you know, it's concentrated, more of the wealth of the nation is concentrated in the south of England, the north of England, is that now permeating into football? And one of these days, how about this for an outrageous proposition from me?
Yeah.
Will Manchester United have to actually move to within the M25 because it is the world's biggest club, but it's in the wrong place in this country for future investors?
I find this to be quite a surprising thing for someone like you to say.
Well, it's already happened in America.
Well,
it's already happened in America.
Sports franchises move around all the time.
It's already happened in this country with MK Dons. And examples of what happens in Russia, in Dagestan. The players train all week in Moscow, go to Dagestan, play a game, and then come back again.
Dagestan and Redbridge.
Exactly. and already in this country, we see clubs in the north with plans to open academies to recruit players in the south.
Certainly Newcastle are thinking about doing that. Now, if you're a Manchester United fan and you live in Manchester, I mean, do you think this could ever happen? 08717 22 3344. Let's talk to Ray Wilkins, of course. He worked up there and worked down here as well. Ray, very good morning to you.
Mike's, good morning. How are we?
Very well indeed, mate.
Now, when I listen to Mike Parry expounding some of his theories, normally I feel like a mixture of sort of, you know, wanting to throw myself under a bus or something and or just stop listening. However, I think he might have a point here about Manchester United moving south.
Absolute rubbish.
Really?
Oh, my word! I was there last week for the Chelsea game.
Yes.
Good grief, the place is so vibrant and buzzy, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, OK, Ray, but look at this. There are 3 clubs in London now who've got new stadia or are going to have new stadia who are looking for naming rights. And you are talking here about up to £10 million, maybe 20 million, maybe £30 million, right? If an overseas corporation comes in and says, we'll take Chelsea or we'll take Spurs or we'll take West Ham, they want to be in the capital. I believe Manchester United are going to have to move to join that capital elite geographically to keep going as the world's top club.
Mike, I think it's absolute nonsense. If you look at Everton, they're looking to build a new stadium. Liverpool have just built another stand.
Yeah.
So we can't go down that route. The reason, and you mentioned Blackburn and the likes of and Leeds,
yes,
it's been bad management at top level, which has put these clubs into the dire state they find.
Yes.
Leeds, hopefully, are on a wonderful path to get back where they should belong and do belong, and that's in the Premier League. But Blackburn certainly has been not managed in the best possible way. You already mentioned the north-south divide. You look at AFC Wimbledon, MK Dons.
Yes,
that's a southern club. It was badly run.
Yeah.
And these things have to be sorted from the top.
But,
and if the club's run properly and it cuts its cloth accordingly, it can function wherever it is. The only problem you have a north-south divide, especially with the big teams, is that when they're both trying to sign a stellar name, the good lady will have a say whether it be north or south.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is the bottom line, isn't it? Because we've heard... I mean, look at, for example, Jose Mourinho, you know, who doesn't want to buy himself a house anywhere near the Manchester club which employs him, and instead he's still living in a hotel.
Yes.
You know, I mean, we're hearing
his wife
stories...
still lives in London.
Yes, exactly. Right. That's what I mean. Well, that's not perfect, is it, Ray? It's not ideal to have your manager living in a hotel and having to nip back to London, you know, to form the nucleus of the family. It's just not on.
Well, it's a strange situation, but if that's the way they prefer to lead their life, then you know we can't really say anything about that. But because he's doing an excellent job where he is at the moment, Old Trafford. So long may that continue.
Yeah.
And I'm sure their marriage is rock solid.
Yeah, I'm certain it is. Why do you think that Brighton and Southampton and Bournemouth are looking so vibrant, Ray? Could it be because they've got good investors, i.e. investors who think it's a better bet to invest in a club in the south of England?
That is possibly a good point you make, but they're being run properly now. They cut their cloth accordingly. You know, Brighton have a wonderful new stadium. I believe they have plans where they can just stick another tier on. And it's a fantastic stadium
it is.
to visit. It really is.
But Amex invested in it
to get back in there. But Bournemouth again have been backed very strongly.
Yeah, but they've been backed. Amex backed Brighton because they know where Brighton is and they like it, and it's on the south coast and it's classy and it's glamorous. I don't believe Amex would go and fund a new stadium for Burnley or Blackburn or Leeds.
Well, you'd have to ask Amex that, Mike. I can't answer that question.
No, I mean, in terms of the supporters, right, Ray, in terms of, I mean, I remember hearing Simon Johnson, who reports for the Evening Standard, he was up at that Chelsea-Man United game. He said on his way back to London, there were more Man United fans on the train than Chelsea fans.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. This myth...
It's no lie, man.
This myth about, Manchester United live in the south, there's millions of them in the south of England. They could easily relocate.
Mind you, you can go to South Korea and you'll find more Manchester United supporters there you've probably got in Manchester.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, and also, that's why...
because the brand name is global.
Yeah, yeah.
But in all seriousness, the way that the football business is going, I mean, it won't be long before it's like the NFL, presumably. And what they'll say is, as the NFL are saying, why don't we get a franchise in London? Who knows whether the Premier League will say, well, why don't we get a team based somewhere outside of the UK?
I can't see it personally, my friend. It's our football is something very special.
I totally agree. Ray, what about the individual players like yourself? I mean, OK, Manchester United has tremendous glamour. Of course it does, as a name and as a football club and its history and its heritage. And Manchester, to me, is a great city. But it's not a great city. It's not a great city necessarily to a lad coming from Italy or Germany or Spain, who will say now, and his wife more in particular, as you've just indicated, no, I want to go and play for a club in London. Is that not going to be a difficult hurdle to get over in the future?
It will. If he's a single man, then there's no problem. As I said before, if he's a married man, the woman will be drawn towards London, the south, and that's just the way life is. But if he's a single man, not everywhere in Italy and Spain is a wonderful coastal resort.
No,
there are some rather iffy places in these countries.
I agree. Have you ever been to Seville?
It might be a massive step up.
That's in Spain.
For these guys to come into England.
He's talking about Italy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I mean, Napoli could be a bit rough around the back of the old those catacombs.
Remember the back streets of Naples?
Yeah, all right, that was a song. Ray, let me ask you one quick question about Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He says giving up is not an option. Do you expect to see him back playing football at Manchester United or anywhere?
Well, this is a guy that's got a massive desire to do really well. The injury he's got is horrendous, especially when you're 35 years of age. But he seems to have this desire and this will to want to get back and do what he loves doing. So, until he comes back, we'll never know.
Yeah. You wouldn't bet against him, though, would you?
You wouldn't bet against him. What was great for me yesterday as well, to see Rooney back and scoring a goal.
He looked so happy, didn't he? He was so happy to be doing what he does best.
Also the players' reaction, guys, was wonderful towards him.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they loved him.
It's a very good point you make there, Ray. Listen, thanks very much indeed. We've got to leave it there. Ray Wilkins there, former Chelsea, former Manchester United, of course. And he played himself in Italy, didn't he? All those
and
years
Manchester
ago.
United.
I said Manchester United.
Yeah, that's
You're not listening to me.
AC Milan he played for.
I mean, have you still got your ears popping from the private jet you're on?
You keep raising this a lot. Are you, you're trying to glamorise yourself?
I've just said, somebody just tweeted and said, can you stop this Rod Stewart thing now? We all know about it. There's lots they don't know. Trust me.
Well, there's lots they will never know.
Yeah, indeed.
Put it that way.
Now, how about this from Andy? Morning, MG. Could you remind Porky that since he tipped Leeds for the playoffs ahead of Sheffield Wednesday, we've won 5 out of 5.
They've collapsed.
# Porky. Yeah, but Sheffield Wednesday won 5 out of 5.
And Leeds have collapsed. Sheffield Wednesday have
well done.
I said that.
Colossal.
I said
Genius.
That Fulham wouldn't do it, but if they did, I asked Brooksy, my friend there, Sarah Brooks, who's head of PR, to remember
she's
me
leaving as well
next season. She's now leaving.
Yeah, exactly right. So triple Porky
great, isn't it?
Hey! The sun goes down like a bad dream.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Coming up a little bit later on, it's another episode of Heroes and Villains. And certainly plenty of those over the course of the weekend. It's an incredible weekend for incident, you'd have to say.
Yes.
And we'll be getting to a lot of that coming up. Now, how about this from Chris? It doesn't matter where Mourinho lives. Harry Redknapp lived on the south coast and travelled to London every day. Well, he's now working for Birmingham, isn't he? Although it didn't go too well for him over the weekend. Richard says, what about Portsmouth, QPR, Orient? South clubs badly run just like northern clubs.
Yeah, well, why are they badly run? Are they badly run because they can't attract the talent to run them properly or efficiently, or people don't want to be interested in them? I don't know.
Well, I think the point is that he's just saying that there are some badly run clubs in the south as well as there are in the north, but that's not really the issue.
Yeah.
Patrick says this on Twitter: North-South divide is a sign of the cultural times. The wealth that made the likes of Jack Walker in the north rich is now extinct. There may be some truth to that.
Absolutely, yeah.
The industrial heartland is not what it was.
The Industrial Revolution made the northwest of England the richest part of the world. That has shifted now, obviously, but the creation of wealth, you're absolutely right, in this country happens in the majority of times, in a line south of Hull down to sort of the Isle of Wight.
Does it feel as if the north of England, football-wise, is in somehow the decline? 08717 22 3344. Let's talk to Adam, who's a Brighton fan, newly promoted. Adam, welcome to the show.
Good morning, gents.
Yep.
Good morning.
Hi, Adam.
What do you think, Adam?
Just a little bit of input from my side down. Well, obviously I'm south. I'm a Brighton fan, and the Amex didn't fund the Amex Stadium being built per se. It was actually Tony Bloom, who's obviously a local.
So why is their name on it then? Why is their name on it?
It's the naming rights.
That's what I'm talking about. And that was put together by Mr. Bloom, who's a very successful local businessman, right? But do you think he'd have attracted the name Amex if his stadium was in Hartlepool?
No. I'm just putting you right from just before when you were talking to Ray Wilkins. You said that it was Amex, American Express, that funded the stadium. Well, they didn't actually fund the stadium.
I mean, it's a question.
98 million.
Adam, it's
£98 million.
Well, let's put it this way: they got some of the 98 million back, Adam, from American Express, didn't they?
Well, I'm sure.
Isn't that the point of the deal?
It was somewhere. I mean, I believe he's going to make the money back. I mean, not that this is important, but that's going to be back from when we go. We've now gone up. We're going to get the money.
So that means ipso facto, American Express paid for the stadium, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Amex didn't put their name on it for nothing. The point is, Adam. The point is.
Down south anyway,
the point is. You're a Brighton fan, Adam. Brighton is a more prosperous area than, for instance, Wearside, okay, which is in the northeast of England. So what I'm saying is, your fans, your Brighton fans, can afford to go in there in numbers every week and keep that stadium what it is and provide funds for the club.
No, that's not right. I think it
well, people in Brighton are poor, are they?
It balances itself out. I mean, the amount of times that we've lost players to northern clubs. Why would someone want to go and play Burnley? That's what they would say.
Yeah, but you're in the Premiership now, Adam.
What have you.
Well, hang on. You're always going to lose players upwards, aren't you, Adam? In terms of
But
now that you're in the Premier League, I think you might find that you won't lose so many players unless you're losing players, say, to top four clubs, because again that will move up.
But maybe it's just the area.
I think also the point as well, isn't it? Yeah, but the point that Mike is making too is that American Express were already headquartered in Brighton. I mean, that's where they are.
Exactly.
Now, the reason they've chosen Brighton is because it's a vibrant part of the south of England, which has got very good transport and links and very good connections to the southeast of England, and that's really the point.
There must be companies of that stature though up north.
There are some, but I mean you don't see them queuing up to give naming rights to Blackburn or Burnley. Adam, I remember going to your ground. I remember going to your ground when it consisted of some school athletics track banged onto the back of a pub, right?
The Withdean.
Otherwise known as the Withdean.
Roof inside.
Yeah. Now what I'm saying is nobody would have invested in naming rights there unless you wanted to call it, the Withdean Arms, 2 pints of bitter for £3 or something. It's there now because business brain allied with investment money has created what you've got now. You need to be thankful for it, not sort of dismissing it as something that everybody can have, because they can't.
A lot of hard work from the fans to sort of keep the club going and keep supporting them, because we did lose a generation when we went to Withdean. There was no doubt about it. All of the young lads or what have you, the dads would take their kids up to London to go see Chelsea because they didn't want to go to Withdean. Why would you want to go?
Now, let me ask you another question, Adam, because I know some Bournemouth fans, right, and some Bournemouth fans who found Bournemouth struggling in the Premier League, not so much this season as last season, right? They said to me, we actually quite liked being in the Championship because, we were very much more competitive. It's not very much fun going to see games week in, week out, where you're just surviving in the Premier League and hoping you don't get relegated. What are Brighton fans saying about what it's going to be like next season?
Well, I mean, I can see exactly where Bournemouth are coming from, because it is a great league, and every weekend, you just don't know. It's unpredictable what's going to happen. So, but for what we've done, this season, it's just incredible. It could be up there with what Leicester done last season. And then now, hopefully, pipping Newcastle to the post, who everybody thought was going to, steam the league, but they haven't. But we're looking forward just to getting up there with the big boys every away day. It's going to be an Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, My wife's not going to see me, unfortunately, next season. So
she may prefer it that way, Adam.
Well.
Yeah, she may prefer it that way.
She may prefer it that way.
But Adam, you're not going to.
Probably does, mate.
Yeah, you're not going to lose fans now on a regular basis to Crystal Palace, are you? Because I'm from Stockbroker Belt, Surrey.
No, you're not. You're from Chester. You're from Chester.
Excuse me.
This is where the North-South divide started.
Can you be quiet? Crystal Palace fans live in Stockbroker Belt, Surrey, right? And a lot of Brighton fans, deprived of good football, started permeating north. They won't anymore. You've got a great club down there, and I'll see you next season when Everton visit.
Yep, we'll do, and we're looking forward to it.
Something for you to look forward to, Adam.
Of course
imagine that, the sight of Porky parading himself around in the director's box at Brighton. How about this from Dave? Maybe Porky could start his own helicopter business to fly the players from London to the north. Look at that.
Well, no, listen, it's not that at all. That's being trite about it. Well, what I'm asking the fans out there is this: do you feel that if you are a fan of a northern club and you have been giving your life and soul to your club all your life, you're getting left behind? Because, Blackburn are becoming the dregs, I'm afraid to say. And I hate to say that about a team that...
There are reasons why Blackburn is a specifically bad case.
That have been Premier League champs in the past.
Leeds United, of course, have been given the full Porky jinx.
Yes.
Ever since you mentioned that they would be not only in the playoffs, but the club that would actually go all the way to the top.
That's right.
And come up as the third team.
But look at some great traditional clubs, like you say, Leeds United, Middlesbrough, struggling like mad.
They're going down, aren't they?
Yeah, this is going to be a constant pattern of what is happening. And those northern fans who've done so much to build their clubs and keep them going must feel now that the gods are against them.
I mean, the way you're talking, anyone would think that you were some boy from, the south of London or something, because, you guys in the north, you've got to forget about it. We've got all the money down here. You're from Chester,
yes,
right? You support Everton.
Yes.
In fact, Davies says this: Porky, you plank. Instead of Manchester United moving down south, why not your little club Everton?
Well, because Everton are so traditionally Merseyside, they couldn't move out of there and be a credible team. But Manchester United do have a huge fan base in the south of England.
Yeah, but it's not just about
that. It's not a myth anymore. It's not a myth anymore. The Manchester United fans are evenly divided around a lot of parts of this country, not just from the northwest. And that is proven by the examination of where the fans go to after a game. We've all seen it. I've seen it coming back to London.
Yeah, everybody's seen it. Let's talk to Simon, who's a Southampton fan, in Southampton, believe it or not. Right. Hello, Simon.
How you doing, chaps? You all right?
Yeah, very well,
thank you.
What do you think of Porky's theory here?
Well, my mum's from the north, put it this way. So in terms of people in the south having more disposable income, we've got more money here to spend on our clubs, etc. Nonsense, really. Our cost of living down here is significantly more than what it is in the north to start with, so any excess money we have goes on rent. Regarding the rise of the south and the demise of the north, that's pretty much rubbish as well.
Why?
Well, Southampton have had plenty of players nicked from there, haven't they?
Yeah, well, you talk about how the fact that Southampton's a small club, which is now a big club, but up until they were relegated from the Premier League 10 years ago, they were the longest running club in the top league. So I'm not entirely certain how you can say that Southampton now just turning into a bigger club. And in regards to Manchester United needing to move south to get to where they want to be, and the fact that they don't have a named stadium, they probably haven't got a named stadium because they've got the money to not have a named stadium.
Yeah.
I refer to the Emirates. That's the named stadium.
Yeah.
Newcastle, their stadium is named as well.
Yeah, but the stadium in Newcastle is named by the people that own Newcastle. Similarly, the stadium,
which is one of the wealthiest businessmen in the country.
Well, that's true. But what we're talking about, I suppose, and maybe Porky hasn't explained it properly, is the availability of outside companies to come in and brand the stadium.
Yes, that's
because
exactly what I
in the Etihad, for example,
the government are just about to build a railway line that goes from London to Manchester for HS2 because they see Manchester as being the second hub.
Unless it gets abandoned.
I hope it doesn't happen because it'll be a waste of money.
It's 100 billion quid down the gurgler, which I hope will not take place.
So you can get to Birmingham in 20 minutes quicker than you can now.
So you also referred to the fact that you've got towns in Wearside which are poor. So you're saying there's no towns in the south of England which haven't got money.
Yeah. No.
You go for a walk around Portsmouth.
Yes.
He lives down there. That's why he's got a house down there.
Yeah. Yeah, but the point I'm trying to make to you, Simon...
It's a very low blow, by the way.
The point I'm trying to make to you, Simon, is the other factor which you have not thought about is that players want to go to clubs in the south of England. They don't want to go to clubs in the north of England, necessarily. Do you understand that?
Tell that to Adam Lallana.
Adam Lallana?
Yeah, exactly. That's
but Adam Lallana went from a smaller club to a bigger club. That's an exception. But you understand what I'm saying, Simon, don't you?
Yeah, but you've cited Southampton and Bournemouth as being these big clubs which are rising, which are on the up. But now you're still saying they're small clubs. Where are you actually? What's your point here in this, mate?
My point on this
is just called you mate as well, which is quite provocative.
It is quite provocative, and it's Mr. Parity, if you don't mind, Simon.
True.
But
also, can I just point out, Simon has already been on the phone here for just a few minutes, and he's already managed to land a terrible low blow on Portsmouth.
Yeah, you have landed a low blow in Portsmouth. I won't have that. That's where I don't live in Portsmouth, actually. I live in Gosport.
Which is even worse than Portsmouth.
Excuse me.
What? Yeah, that's horrible. People in Gosport look at Portsmouth trying to get over there.
Excuse me, I don't know why anybody let you on the phone on this show, Simon. Just hurl insults at me and the people of Gosport. They're fine.
You've seen the time, by the way.
They're fine people. We haven't got time to talk to you any longer. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we've got to go. Simon, thank you very much indeed. He pointed out quite a few flaws in your argument there, Porky.
I didn't. There are no flaws in my argument.
Well, how about this one from Dan? He says, why don't you send Leeds and Newcastle and other teams in the north of England up to the Scottish League? They have a better chance of getting the Champions League. It'd actually liven up the Scottish League as well, because as we saw yesterday, the competition up there. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe we should float that one instead.
Ridiculous.
Newcastle, Middlesbrough, Sunderland.
I'm trying to put an intellectually sound proposition.
You can put them all up there
to our audience here, and all you're doing is again being flippant and trite about the whole thing.
Incorrect.
Now then, you're listening to the Two Mics, of course. We're on TalkSport and we are with Wix. Now get 20% off all ready-to-fit kitchen products when you spend £75 or more, including kitchen units, appliances, worktops, sinks, taps and accessories. Now, this record.
Hey?
Do you know what I think of that?
What do you think of it?
I think it sounds like a record I've heard at least 100 times before in different guises. You know what I mean?
Well, we heard it about 100 times when we were at West Ham because she was singing it and practising it throughout the course of our show.
Yeah, but what I mean is it sounds so indistinct from 100 other records I've heard over the years.
What, you're going to be rude about Pixie Lott now?
No, from female
very
singers.
Nice about her on Saturday.
Female singers or girl bands. Well, that's because I thought she was Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
From female singers or...
You were just Gaga.
or girl bands and all that sort of thing. That I have to say, I mean, you could hardly put that in the same category as, a classic tune written by Freddie Mercury. Killer Queen or something like that, could you? I mean, you couldn't.
It's a different type of genre.
But it doesn't sound like anything. It sounds like a young lady holding a microphone and
nothing wrong with it.
And it's what I'd call a skippy along record that just sort of bounces along,
along.
Yeah, if you're looking at the sound levels, it would go...
Thank you for your intrinsically expert opinion of music.
Anyway, the story of Pixie Lott is that she launched this record at half-time at the West Ham Everton game on Saturday.
At the London Stadium.
And I missed the opportunity to invite her into the studio of TalkSport where we're doing a live show at West Ham's magnificent new stadium, the London Stadium, on Saturday.
Can you just tell us why Everton, who have normally beaten West Ham, I think, at home for the last several times they visited them,
since 2007,
where Lukaku has scored every time he's played against them, right? Why Everton seem completely and utterly toothless?
Well, even Mr. Koeman admitted afterwards that it was an under par performance.
Oh, did he?
And you have to admit it was. It was a dull old game, I'm afraid.
It certainly was. Don't enter into it.
And you wonder whether a few end of season nerves crept in. West Ham.
End of season nerves about what?
Well, West Ham desperately
playing for nothing.
No. West Ham desperately having to, try and bolster the position where they are in the table, not get sucked into a relegation battle.
They're not going to be in a relegation battle.
I've said that for weeks. I've said they're not going to get sucked into a relegation battle. Right. And Everton, of course, desperately trying to, make that massive leap from where they are now into contenders for top four.
Your description of the game is already more exciting than the game was.
Yeah, I think it is.
How about this from Phil? EFC have proven what a good manager, progressive investment, and a good manager who trusts the youth players can do. I don't know if you're talking about Everton Football Club there.
Well, that's what EFC stands for.
Here's one from C-Mac who says, Newcastle don't have any trouble attracting players. All managers, Rafa Benitez, Dwight, Gale, Matt Ritchie, Shelby, etc.
So, hang on, how come they've got relegated twice in the last 6 years?
Well, you may well ask that question. Are they not going to be promoted this evening?
They are. If they beat who they're playing this evening, they're playing, remind me,
Preston,
I know who they're playing this evening. They are playing...
I just told you.
What?
Preston.
Did you say Preston?
I said Preston.
Yeah, is that this evening?
No, that's this evening.
It is this evening. Sky Bet Championship, Newcastle versus Preston.
Have you had any sleep?
Yeah, I've had plenty of sleep. So yeah, Newcastle are expected to be Preston.
You didn't go back up to Stansted to retrace your steps.
I certainly didn't.
How about this from John, who says United get more for the naming rights for the Aon Training Centre in Carrington than most clubs get for their stadium, by which I think he means there's plenty of money in the northwest of England.
Everton just had their Finch Farm Training Centre sponsored as well.
Yeah, but that's not sponsored by the local council.
No, not at all.
Yes,
no.
It is. I'm sure it is.
No, it's not.
Who's it sponsored by?
It's a commercial agreement at Everton.
No, I thought it was the local council that were paying for it.
Well, I'm
pretty certain I'm right about that.
We can't get into that. I'm sorry.
Why not?
We're talking about here about financial
situations.
situations.
You're the one that brought it up.
No, I didn't bring it up.
You brought it up.
You
said
brought
Finch Farm.
You brought it up about Manchester United's training ground. The only thing I'm saying is this: Manchester City have enormous wealth because it comes from one source, and that is really one family, or certainly one government in the Middle East, okay?
What?
What
are you talking about now?
Manchester City.
Oh, okay.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So they don't have to worry about getting naming rights for their stadium.
You're talking about Sheikh Mansour?
Yes, I am.
Well, this is what I was saying earlier to the caller, that, you can't really count the Etihad as naming rights. You can't really count Sports Director's naming rights because they are both the owner's names.
Exactly. But at some stage, Manchester United, like Barcelona, eventually accepted they'd have to have sponsorship on their shirts, okay, because they didn't for years and years.
No, they had
on the
UNICEF,
principle.
didn't they?
Eventually, Manchester United are going to have to get into the business of naming rights for their stadium because already...
But do you know what? They're very clever, Manchester United, because they are the richest club in the world.
And they sponsor... They have more sponsorships for more products than anybody else.
And do you know they have their own noodle sponsor in the Philippines and in Singapore?
I know all of those sort of details. You're absolutely right. The extent to which they apply their name to products around the world is enormous.
And maybe they do that in order to stave off the necessity to actually name Old Trafford.
Yeah, but no club's going to say, we can do without another £600 million over the next 5 years, can they?
Well...
And particularly if other clubs are going to be taking that money in. And what I was going to say is, what was very interesting is that I am told that Chelsea's latest shirt deal has exceeded a similar deal that Manchester United have in place, which means for the first time a club has bettered Manchester United and how much money they get for their
one particular deal. But not overall, I don't think. Here's one from Will, who says, currently there's only 8 teams in the Premier League that you can be classed as Southern, 3 London teams in the top 7, but 4 from the North. Relax, Porky.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm very relaxed about it all. What I'm saying is, because I can, most people can only see over their garden hedge, right? I can see over the Pyrenees.
Are you standing on a box?
And I can see what is coming. And what is coming is there's going to be a drift of wealth in this country to the south of England in all areas of life, including football.
Yeah, what's on the other side of the Pyrenees, by the way?
Sorry?
What's on the other side of the Pyrenees?
The lowlands on the far side.
You don't know, do you?
Of course I know.
This is Talk Sport. Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to the Two Mikes on TalkSport. We've got lots coming up in this hour, including Sir Rod Stewart is going to join us and tell us what he made of the Celtic win yesterday. Of course, they're now in the final of the Scottish Cup to play against Aberdeen. We've got lots more to talk about, including La Liga, El Clasico last night. We've got to talk about the FA Cup as well. And, of course, Newcastle getting promoted tonight, even though, as Porky says, they're in the wrong part of the country to get any money. You're listening to the Two Mikes with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on TalkSport. By the way, talking about money in the north of England, we'll take some more calls on this as well. 08717 2233 Do you know the cheapest tickets to watch Premier League football in the country this year?
Go on.
This season? Hull City and Liverpool, where you can get a ticket for £9.
£9?
Isn't that amazing?
You mean per game?
Yeah, per game,
Or is that a child's ticket, is it?
I don't know if it's a child's ticket, because, but I think it's an adult ticket. I'm pretty sure it's an adult ticket. The top 3 most expensive season tickets are all in London. Arsenal, £2,013. Spurs, £1,895. And Chelsea, £1,250.
Yeah, that's...
Now, we learned this last week, didn't we, that the Spurs season ticket waiting list in particular is about 65,000 long.
It's tens of thousands of people. It's unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. When I last went there, my compadre, whose box I...
Your sponsor?
I get invited in, and, I'm...
Well, I get invited in as well. It's just that I wasn't able to go, because I was in... No, it's not I never come. It just happens to be around... Do you know why? It happens to be almost always at the same fixture time as my mother's birthday.
Right, okay,
And given that she's now in her 90s, I need to celebrate her birthday with her.
Of course.
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. And he said to me, there's a, long waiting list, 20,000 or so. I didn't realise. We checked out the figures. It's It's up to 67,000.
Yeah, 67,000.
So that means that. Are you saying that gives clubs free rein to charge whatever they want if they've got 67,000 people waiting to pick up any season ticket which is rejected by somebody who thinks it's too expensive?
I mean, as a former student of economics, you'll surely understand that if you can charge over £1,800, £1,900 for a season ticket, and you've still got 65,000 people waiting, that you could actually put it up.
Well,
you'd still have a waiting list of about 20,000 if you doubled it.
That would be a very cynical approach, though, wouldn't it?
Well, that's
very
economics,
cynical.
though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is economics.
I mean, if you want to buy a cheap season ticket, you can go to Hull City, where it's only £252.
You could.
And despite the fact that they have one of the great talented managers of our generation, right, so-called, they may be going down.
Yeah, well, absolutely right. The thing is about season tickets is that they are a moving feast anyway, because although it says here...
Do you mean a movable feast?
What did I say?
Moving feast.
Yeah, I say a moving feast.
A moving feast?
No, I'll stick with the moving feast, thank you. Okay.
When
I need corrective instruction for you on the use of the English language, I'll let you know.
That'll be about once every 10 minutes.
Now then, the top 306 season tickets are in London. Arsenal 2013.
Yes.
Now, I don't wish to sort of, big myself up or anything like that.
No, you wouldn't want to do that.
But actually, my season ticket at Everton costs more than that.
Does it?
Yeah, because what I'm saying is,
Why?
there's a relativity factor about season tickets. Yeah. You can have a season ticket in which you sit in your seat with everybody else, and it's
it's just a seat. Basically.
A seat, that's right. Yeah, or
that gives you access presumably to a hospitality lounge, or just with just the ticket.
What, my ticket?
Well, some do, some don't. Is that what you're saying?
Mine is to a restaurant before the game.
Yes,
and
that's a sort of shared hospitality lounge.
What do you mean shared? Who am I sharing it
Well,
with?
there are two kinds of hospitality, okay?
Yes.
There's a private box in which you have a small table where you can seat maybe 8 people.
Yes, that's true.
Sometimes 10.
That's true.
That's where I normally go if I'm going hospitality.
Oh,
right?
who with?
With various people that have invited me to various
which game was that?
At which game?
Yes.
Well, I've done it in Liverpool.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. I've done it at Chelsea.
Yeah, but I think you'll find it was always in my company.
No, it wasn't always in your company.
I think it was.
No, in fact, before yesterday, the last time I was at an Old Firm Cup final, I was invited by one of the banks in Scotland to sit in a box with them, actually.
Quite a long time ago.
Not a long time ago, no.
By the way, yesterday we saw Lord John Reid, didn't we?
We did indeed.
He was a former chairman of Celtic.
He's also the former Defence Secretary.
Who gave us some amazing insights into the politics of this country, far away from football.
Well, particularly the politics of this country quite a few years ago.
Yes, but I mean, talking to us about, the fascination of being in a cabinet meeting, with people like Gordon Brown and Tony Blair and all that kind of stuff.
Fascinating
That was pretty
stuff.
fascinating stuff.
Yes, absolutely
Give me an insight into the way the power game works.
Yeah,
but anyway,
there were also a few other stars of stage and screen that we saw.
Who was the guy you were taking pictures of?
The guy that I was talking to.
Yes.
Yeah.
The film star. Who was
the film star? I'll tell you about him later because we're going to ask Rod about him.
Oh, OK, that's fine. Yeah, good idea. Right, now then, season tickets, what I'm saying is that they are relative because you can pay for a very expensive one or you can pay for a basic one. So if we're saying here that the Arsenal basic season ticket is £2,013.
Yes.
I don't know.
That would be without anything other than just the seat.
Yeah, I don't know how anybody can afford to... in fact, what normally happens now, when you get a season ticket renewal form each season, you get all the sort of forms to pay for it monthly and all this kind of stuff. Right. You know what I mean?
Well, because most people want to have something on a plan because they can't all afford to fork out thousands of pounds.
Well, I totally agree.
How much is your season ticket then?
Well, it's expensive.
Well, I know, but how much?
Well, I don't think I should go into that because it's unfair to...
Man of the people. So you're saying it's more than £2,000?
Yes, I am, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But, as I say, I don't wish to big myself
up in these sort of circumstances.
Drink, Sorry?
That doesn't include the drink,
it includes half a bottle of wine per sitting, because we have lunch before the game.
Doesn't go far, does it, with you? I won't go far with you.
It doesn't usually last between the door and me sitting down at the table.
2 glasses.
Yeah, that's right, absolutely.
Unbelievable.
But, no, I mean, what I'm saying is, if you talk... the £97 ticket category... has not been on general sale at the Emirates this season because of demand from season ticket holders and members. So basically what we're saying is that sometimes the cheap tickets, you can't offer them purely on economic reasons, you can't really say, because it's unfair to the supply and demand chain.
Yes.
If people can afford to pay, they should be allowed to buy one.
Yes, exactly. But, I mean, then you don't also want to price people out of the market just on the basis of how much money they can afford to pay.
No,
because it's supposed to be the football game of the people, isn't it?
Yeah, I wonder if there's people who, actually have something like a season ticket for Hartlepool or Scunthorpe or...
Well, we're going to talk about Hartlepool coming up in a little while, but right now we're going to go and talk amongst ourselves for a couple of minutes because coming up next, Sir Rod Stewart is going to be here. This is Talk Sport.
Wake up, Maggie, I think I got something to say to you. It's late September and I really should be
This is Talk Sport. We are at the two mics. Now, yesterday we had quite an extraordinary day, really.
Extraordinary.
Flew up to Glasgow to watch the Old Firm Scottish Cup semi-final at Hampden Park between Rangers and Celtic. But not only just flew up there with Sir Rod Stewart, who was an impeccable host and fantastic guy. And we're going to talk to him right now to see if he thinks exactly the same things about us as we think about him.
Well, the focal point of the day, of course, was Celtic. They were fabulous, and the dominance that they have now in that Scottish League is so preeminent that you can see them mopping up that treble.
You think the treble's coming?
Yeah. Well, it's only the third in their history. I didn't realise that.
Shutting up for a minute so we can talk to Rod Stewart.
Good idea.
Waiting. Rod, a very good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning, chaps. How are you feeling today?
Actually,
Rod,
very remarkably,
wonderful.
I was saying to Mike, I must say that form of travel is a much less taxing form of travel than any other. So, I'm not tired at all. I think we felt great, thank you.
Oh, that's great. But please, gentlemen, next time you come up to Scotland, try and keep your trousers on, will you?
Oh, dear me. You said no secrets.
Well, the biggest crisis we found was on the way back on the plane when they couldn't find the bottle opener.
I know.
To be honest.
That was. I did notice you knocking about the old shampoo. It was really not a very drunken day. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But it was a pleasure to have the boat. Do you know what my boy said this morning, Aidan, my little boy?
Yeah.
He kept messing around the plane. He woke up before I took him to school, or got him up for school. He said, Dad, did the two mics tell me off on the radio?
Oh, no, of course not. Yeah. I tell you what, though, Rod, when I was playing, pushing my foot against your little lad's foot, see who was the stronger, I think I put my back out this morning. I'm not joking.
That leads me to my lovely joke, when you're getting old, when your back goes out more than you do.
Oh, that's absolutely right. But anyway,
I think
game.
Certainly 20 years ago, if we three of us had been on that plane together, it might have been a slightly different scene.
Hey, do you mind? This is a family show, and we're talking about respectable married men. Sir Rod, let's talk about the game, because your excitement was palpable when the first goal went in, when the second goal went in. How satisfied were you with the performance, and do you see a period of sort of dominance growing in other areas for Celtic?
Well, yeah, I do, and it was great. I mean, so I've been looking forward to this game so much, and I tore my jacket when the first goal went in. But don't get me wrong, I want a strong Rangers. I want them to come at us. I want a strong Hibs. I want a strong Aberdeen and Hearts. Because in the end, it will make us better for Europe. That's what I'd really like to see. In other words, more of a challenge from the other teams. In saying that, we've still got to beat Aberdeen in the cup final.
Yeah, it's not a foregone conclusion, but it does look as though, from what we saw yesterday, that Brendan Rodgers has got the team playing slightly more kind of attractive football, if nothing else.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like they're playing with a big smile on their face. He's made what I call good players into really, really brilliant players, in my opinion. In Scotland, I don't know how many of them would cut it in the Premiership, but that's a hard one to call.
Have you got a theory, Sir Rod, about why young Scottish players are not coming through in the way they used to? We used to send Scottish players into the English leagues all the time. It doesn't happen now.
No, it doesn't, and it's reflected in the national team's poor showing. I'm sorry, Gordon, but that's the way he is, and he knows that too. I think it's probably down to a cycle or whatever, but obviously now the English Premiership can go and buy play. Got so much money they can buy players abroad, where we haven't got that sort of money. We ain't got that dough.
No.
And that's the big question about Brendan Rodgers. I mean, I know he's just signed a new 4-year contract, but before he did that, a lot of people wondered whether a couple of successful seasons in Scotland and even a decent run in the Champions League might lead him to want to come back south. What do you think of that?
Oh, I think he will eventually. Yeah, obviously, I thought he was going to go for the Arsenal job, and thankfully he didn't. But if we keep him for 2 or 3 years, that'll be brilliant. And he's, according to reports, he's very happy up there. I mean, he's an Irishman; he should be happy up there. It's a Scottish team with Irish roots.
That's right. Well, we saw Gordon Strachan yesterday, and of course, England and Scotland meet this summer.
Yeah,
and
Rod will be there. You'll be going back up for that.
I imagine you will be. Yeah, we'll imagine you will be. And what you've just said about the weakness of the rest of the Scottish League, of course, reflects in the Scottish national team, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah. I feel Gordon's got his work cut out, and I think the supporters have got to know that he can't create miracles. He can only play with what he's got. And they had a good showing in the last game against Slovenia, was it? Yeah. And maybe we can turn it on against England, but it's against all odds, I would say.
That's right. Now, when we left you last night, Sir Rod, you were anxious to get home because you and your two little lads, two adorable boys of yours, Alistair and Aidan, thank you very much for letting us share their time yesterday. You were desperate to get home to see El Clasico, so did you get your feet up and watch it?
Yeah, we did. Oh, my God, what a player Messi is, because my boy thinks Ronaldo's the greatest. I said, no, Messi's the greatest. Just watch this game, and he turned it on. God, did he get his teeth knocked out, or was he just had a bloody nose?
Well, he got an elbow, I think, didn't he? In one of the many clashes that he had with Real Madrid. But, I mean, whenever they do that to him, he seems to actually play better, doesn't he?
Yeah, it picks him up, doesn't it? It inspires him to go on and create better things. But what a game. Oh, that was a great day of football yesterday, wasn't it?
It really was. And the funny thing is it was only a few days ago, after they went out of the Champions League to Juventus, people were asking the question, is this form of football by Barcelona, is it all over? Is it finished? Neymar, Suarez and Messi couldn't score in 180 minutes and all of that. Yeah. And now, they're just blowing it all wide open again.
Exactly.
I still think Juventus are probably maybe the strongest team in Europe at the moment. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see.
But of course, that takes you now to your next problem, because you said to us yesterday the only sort of tangible way Celtic can show the world they're improving is in Europe, and if you've got to come up against the sort of teams you were watching last night, the challenge is almighty.
Yes, it is. But we've beaten Manchester United, we've beaten Barcelona, we've had a good draw with Man City in past Champions League games. But it is a sign of our strength. It really is, and I'm looking forward to it. I think he's improved this team and the players 100 million %. Yeah. It's just brilliant to see him. Makes an old rock star very happy.
Speaking of old rock stars, I mean, you're not so old that you've given up touring, because you're about to launch another one, aren't you?
Yeah, in fact, you've caught me in the middle of my workout this morning.
Oh, yes.
For an hour and a half of rowing and things and cycling, and now I'm going out on the pitch to take some dead ball situations.
Oh, you were going to say you're going out on something else. Going out on the...
I'm not going out on the... It's a few British dates, and the big one is, of course, is the Isle of Wight, and then I'm doing the Celtic 50 years when they won the European Cup. That'll be a big celebration. And then an American tour with Cyndi Lauper that'll take me right up to the beginning of August.
Wow, that's utterly fantastic. The Isle of Wight one, I think, is great. You go back all the way to memories of Bob Dylan and all that sort of stuff.
Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, Jimi Hendrix and all that. Why have you chosen that one, Rod?
I didn't. They obviously chose me. It came at the right time. I'd got that most of June off, so I think probably I'm the only one that hasn't done it.
And when you do it these days, Rod, is it a collection of what you think that they want to hear, or what you know they want to hear, as a sort of greatest hits type set?
I always give them what they want to hear, all the old favourites, and stick in a few new ones. I always say, if Otis Redding was alive or Sam Cooke, I want to hear all the ones that made them famous. Yeah. I don't want to hear new ones, and I understand that's the way the audience feels. So it'll be 98% new old songs and a couple of new ones.
Okay, but talking about that, are you still in the mood to issue new songs and new albums?
Oh, yeah, I'm working on 2 albums at the moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one's a top secret album, and another album where I'm writing all my own songs.
Okay.
So, still plenty of songs in the old violin yet.
Because Porky's just catching up with the likes of Pixie Lott, you see. Because he's now fancies himself some kind of music critic.
Hang on, excuse me.
Didn't know what you said about Pixie. You didn't like Pixie Lott's new single,
I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was a bit bubblegum. But it's not real music like music legends make. What I was going to say, Rod, was that as you heard me warbling a few notes in the back of the car yesterday, as we went back to the airport, if you ever need a sort of duet partner, to accompany you in one of these new tracks of yours, you know where to come.
Yes, mate, I will. I'll give you both a ring. Mike and Rod.
Yeah, absolutely. So the old jet, which we were very lucky to climb aboard with you yesterday, Rod, that could be heading, you hope, to a lot of different destinations in Europe next season.
Yeah, it won't be that one. It'll be a bigger one.
Oh, bigger one.
Yeah, because there's, we have 2 or 3 hour journeys. Sometimes I'm going to Tel Aviv, I'm going to Morocco to sing, and so you want to, it's the one luxury I allow myself in life. Well, I allow myself a lot of luxuries, and I've worked hard for it. So
I think you should too. Now, I know you also hinted yesterday that you sometimes one of the luxuries you have is talk sport, but you sometimes have to listen to it in secret because it's not the most popular station in your household.
Oh, my wife can't stand it.
What?
We were going up to London the other day, as I told you, and I thought she's fallen asleep. I had a driver. She's fallen asleep in the back of the car. So I thought I'd better poke the driver, talk sport, just put it on. Say, put it on. She woke up like there was a bolt of lightning. Yeah. Turn it off, she goes.
Golly, that's...
And I have to have dance music for the rest of the journey. I know everyone's going to think I've got a thumb on my forehead now, but she's a lovely girl, really.
I'm sure she is. And talking about family matters, we searched in vain for those Nike shoes you wanted yesterday.
Yeah, don't say that over the radio.
Don't say that on the radio, it's a secret. You should keep your mouth shut.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, but Mrs. Stewart will go mad if I buy him another.
No, that was for me, those Nikes.
Of course they were. Of course they were. Of course they were.
I'm going to go look somewhere else for him today, but if I get him, I'll let you know, Rob.
Yeah, forget I ever said that, please.
They weren't too badly behaved, the boys.
They were great. They were super, honestly. I mean, little kids get sort of restless.
To be honest, they were great. If they hadn't been there, you'd have been worried about how Porky was going to behave. So actually,
that's true.
Because they took the focal point away from him, he wasn't able to get all the attention for himself.
Yeah, what I found fascinating, Rod, is that I was brought up as an Evertonian because my dad was. There was never a question of supporting anybody else. And clearly, you have brought up your boys like that. They had a Celtic shirt on, a Celtic coat on, a Celtic flag. I mean, they presumably have never questioned the fact that they are going to be Celtic for life, yeah?
Oh, they don't. Until I'm the wrong side of the grass, then they can support what they want. My other two boys are that. My older boys are the same too. They're very Celtic-minded because I brought them up. It's a passage of tradition, isn't it?
It is.
It's father down to son. So
it is. And as you've travelled all over the world a million times, you're very aware of the width of the Celtic fan base around the world.
It's unbelievable. It really is. Yeah. Every show I go to, even when I played in Abu Dhabi, I thought, there they were, all in the front row in their green and white, stripes, jerseys. Brilliant.
Tremendous stuff. Well, listen, we had a fantastic day yesterday, Rod. Thank you so much once again.
Can't thank you enough.
And we'll look forward to seeing you sometime soon.
Well, you might even pop along to the Isle of Wight. It's not very far from me.
Yeah. I've got a 19-seat helicopter. I may be able to take you. All right, we'll get in touch later.
All right, we'll see you later.
Thank you so much.
Very much indeed. Sir Rod Stewart. What an absolute gent that man is.
What a guy.
What a tremendous day we had. And we've got more stories to tell you, of course, because we did meet Gerard Butler, which I'll tell you about in a little while.
Indeed.
This is TalkSport.
Right, now then, here we are. You're listening to the two mics, of course. We're on TalkSport. We are with Wix. Now get 20% off all ready-to-fit kitchen products when you spend £75 or more, including kitchen units, appliances, worktops, sinks, taps and accessories.
Yeah, very good. Pete says this. What's this? Porky trying to tap up Sir Rod for Champions League freebies before dropping him in the proverbial live on air.
No.
You are unbelievable.
No,
it's like you don't know what's going on.
How can you say that?
Because I can't say too much at this point.
All I hinted was that Sir Rod will be off into Europe to follow Celtic, and what he hopes will be, because this is what his ambition as a Celtic fan is that they have a great run in the Champions League next season.
Indeed.
And that'll be going to European clients.
These are not my views. These are views of people listening to the show. 5 minutes on the wireless with the legend that is Rod Stewart. Porky goes and drops himself in it again.
Why?
Well, because you mentioned something you wanted to mention.
Listen. Don't worry about that.
I'm not worried about it.
They're all straightened out.
Bangkok Canary says Porky could take Rod the Mod's helicopter for a spin and fly you all to a game. This is, of course, because you claim to be able to fly a helicopter.
Well, I had helicopter lessons, that's all I'm telling you. I
don't think you had enough helicopter lessons.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Speaking of which, actually, I found an interesting little ditty in one of the papers this morning.
Oh, yes.
About Prince.
Oh, Prince.
The musician,
Yes.
Who died about a year ago. He did not own a single pair of flat shoes, right?
Really?
Even the tennis shoes that he had, which are, like trainers.
Yes.
And even the flip-flops that he had little tiny heels on them.
Don't be ridiculous.
He did, because he was a very short guy, right? So, I have one question for you before we continue to talk about Sam and Big Sam and his saving of Crystal Palace in the Premier League. How many pairs of shoes have you got that don't have high heels?
Almost all of them.
Almost all of them?
Yeah.
So you've got some that have heels?
Well, yesterday I was wearing a suit because I was in exalted company, okay?
Thank you very much.
No, not you. Everybody else. So what I'm saying is...
Well, you had little heels on yesterday, did you?
I had my very expensive leather slip-on shoes, which have a heel, okay?
Very expensive leather slip-on shoes?
Yes, that's right,
They're just shoes?
Well, okay, yeah.
Why are they very expensive leather slip-on shoes?
Because they...
well, funny enough, I'm looking at the picture here,
came from a good
which,
leather shoe
by the way,
shop.
was picked up by the Scottish Sun, and they ran a story on the picture of us outside Rod's plane.
Oh, yes.
With a champion's flag.
Right.
That you're holding there, right?
Yes.
And I can see your very expensive shoes, but even though you've got heels on,
you're
still not as tall as Sir Rod Stewart.
It's not a height competition,
Oh, no. Well, why do you wear heels then?
Well, because that's what you wear on shoes when you wear a suit. You don't wear a suit.
I don't wear high-heeled shoes.
Unless you are I think this happened once, wasn't it? Unless you
are they Cuban heels? Are they the kind that are like inside the shoe?
No, they're not. They are. Sure. They are just a normal sort of 3/4 of an inch heel on the back of the shoe. But I did see. I think it was talking about Rock Knights. I think Sir Mick Jagger went to the Palace to collect his knighthood, and I think he was picturing a pair of trainers, a suit and a pair of trainers.
Well, that's obviously the thing that these guys wear. Because Rod was wearing some very interesting trainers yesterday.
Yeah, but he was going to a football match. I'm talking about Sir Mick Jagger going to the Buckingham Palace. Now, all I'm saying is, I was wearing my suit yesterday with my normal shoes. That is the only pair of shoes I have that have heel on them.
Right.
The rest of the sort of 20 pairs of shoes...
That's because the rest of your shoes are all sort of trainers, right?
They are, yeah, actually, they are. And
but I think you're mistaking my language.
Oh, no, hang on, I've just remembered. Yeah. What about my desert boots? My new desert boots, the black ones, the felt ones.
The ones you bought from the supermarket?
No, I didn't buy them from
the supermarket. You did buy them from the supermarket?
I did, actually. Yeah, I did buy them from the supermarket, that's true. Now, they've got a small heel on them, OK, because that's the way they're designed.
My description of heels is not just an ordinary heel like
what
you
are
would
you talking
wear.
about, then?
I'm talking about built-up heels.
No, I've never had shoes with built-up heels.
That people that we have known in the past have worn.
Well, we did know a chap who was rather small in stature, about 5'4" or something, who used to wear like 3-inch Cuban heels.
And he'd wear sometimes Cuban heels or cowboy boots, which have got a bit of a heel as well.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I've got a pair of those.
So you've got a pair of those?
I got them in Austin, in Texas.
Did you?
They're real sort of cow leather type stuff.
Cow leather? I mean?
Yeah.
Well, as opposed to what other kind of leather?
Well, you can get alligators.
Well, they're not leather then, are they?
Well, no, but I mean, a lot of people have those sort of boots, don't they, made out of alligator skin.
Alligator skin, yeah. It's not alligator leather.
Well, what is alligator skin called?
Alligator skin.
Yes, all right, but I mean, the actual product that you end up with wearing,
like moleskin,
is leather. You know what I mean?
It's not leather. It's only leather if it's from a cow.
No, I don't agree. I would say.
You don't agree?
I would.
What do you call something that's made from a snake then?
Snake skin.
Right. It's not snake leather, is it?
No. But a snake's skin is a snake skin because it's shed off a snake.
The trouble with wearing snakeskin boots is they shed every year and you have to get new ones.
They'll be ridiculous. But anyway, look, and I've got some heels on my cowboy boots.
Well, I'm so glad we've sorted this one out.
Although I haven't worn my cowboy boots for a number of years.
Maybe you should wear them in one day.
No, they're uncomfortable actually because they've got a heel on them, and what they do is
do they make you sort of teeter?
They don't make me teeter, but they restrict the mechanical operation of your foot to your leg through your ankle.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Well, I'm wearing ankle boots. In fact, Rod admired these yesterday. Yeah, but Chelsea boots.
Yeah, but they're quite nice slip-ons, and they don't, and they only end up at your ankle. They don't restrict the curve of your ankle to your leg.
Well, the thing, cowboy boots are weird as well because they only come halfway up your calf. Yeah, they don't come all the way up.
As I said, I don't wear them anymore.
Now, listen, let's talk about what happened at Anfield yesterday. Well, I know that you can't wait to have a go at Jurgen Klopp.
No, absolutely untrue. I actually...
You are an Everton supporter.
I am an Everton supporter.
You always like it when Liverpool do badly.
No, I don't. No, that's not true. You see, I don't take joy in any other team's failures because, as far as I'm concerned, my individuality as an Everton fan remains absolute, and I really don't care what happens to any other team. I really don't.
Really?
It doesn't bother me, unless we're playing against them, obviously, and then I always want to beat the team we're playing against.
So when you say you don't care what other teams do, you don't care when Liverpool are doing well either.
Well, of course I do. If they're above us, then I want to make sure that we try and compete against them and
they've been above you all
them.
season.
Yes, they have actually. Yes, and that's why we've been fighting to try and get there. But Everton, a bit like Liverpool, are in a transitional period, and I think it'll all manifest itself next season as to who's got the better.
But let me ask you a question.
The better preparation right over the summer.
Big Sam Allardyce, who we all know was appointed England manager, but then had to leave after one game because of something that happened off the pitch, right?
Yes.
A lot of people are now saying, is it too late to get Sam Allardyce back as England manager? Because he's proving yet again that it's not just a myth, it's not just his own PR that says that he can take a team that's in terrible, terrible relegation trouble and keep them up.
He's obviously very good.
He's incredible at it.
At organising teams and creating a defensive structure which is, not able to be broken down by the opposition. To answer your question, is it too late to get him back as England manager? I'd have him back as England manager tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure I couldn't possibly have agreed with him being relieved of his post when he was for whatever crimes he's supposed to have committed, which weren't, in my view, anything against.
I think the problem was
the spirit of his job.
I think the problem was one of perception.
It was one of perception.
And I think
agree.
he was so short in the job. I mean, had he been in the job for, say, 4 years, I think it would have been less important.
I agree.
But he played one game only, and it appeared to everybody who looked that he was trying to cash in on the fact that he had this big job. And that was what was wrong.
If only people would have noted the one critical phrase in that recorded interview, I'd have to clear it with my employers at the FA.
Yeah.
That to me, cleared him of everything that was insinuated as duplicity. It wasn't.
Except people would have said, because there is a certain kind of cloud that hangs over some people in football, doesn't it? Where you think that they're involved in sort of dodgy deals or deals which are, shall we say, not necessarily would be sanctioned by the FA.
Well,
and I think people would have said, and did say at the time, he should never have met them. Doesn't matter what he says when he meets them.
He explained that and said he did it as a friend, as a favour to a friend and all that kind of stuff.
He made a mistake, right?
He did, yeah. Well, several people made mistakes, including the FA, in my view, and they wouldn't take him back because if they did, they'd have to admit that mistake, and I don't think they will.
Right. Now, meanwhile, right, he's managed to get Christian Benteke, who couldn't. I mean, we heard Brendan Rodgers on the Brazil Sports Breakfast this morning saying how happy he was for Benteke getting his 2 goals. They couldn't make him work at Liverpool. Klopp couldn't make him work. He's gone to Crystal Palace, and as luck would have it, in football karma, he scores 2 goals, and it
was a bit more than luck, wasn't it?
That might have put Liverpool out of the top 4 because don't forget, Manchester United now have 1 game in hand, and they're only 3 points behind Liverpool.
You're absolutely right. What is astonishing about that result is, despite what people think, the team that scores first wins 85% of games in the Premier League. Okay,
right.
The team that scores first at home wins 95% of their games in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace went 1 down in 24 minutes. But got to 1-1 by half-time, which must have been critical.
Yeah.
And then Sam did something in the dressing room in the second half, which made them solid as a rock for the next 45 minutes. And Benteke, as you quite rightly say, took the opportunity of being there to score the second on 74 minutes. Yeah.
Shall we ask Liverpool fans what they think is wrong with Jurgen Klopp? Because they don't seem to be able to beat teams that they should be beating. And I mean, I'm no disrespect to Crystal Palace, but they've played some incredible games this year, Liverpool.
It's amazing.
They've got some incredible results. And yet they've lost to some teams that you would think wouldn't be a problem.
If you added up all the points they've shipped against teams now in the bottom half of the Premier League, and that actually doesn't include Palace now, because yes, it does. They're 12th, aren't they? Yeah. Then and if you turned all those defeats even into draws. They'd be in second or third place.
Exactly right. And instead, they may now be dropping out the top 4. No Champions League football, which would be pretty damaging, I would think, to the owners of Liverpool, to Jurgen Klopp as well. This is the Two Mics on TalkSport with Wix. Get 20% off all ready-to-fit kitchen products when you spend £75 or more, including kitchen units, appliances, worktops, sinks, taps and accessories. This is TalkSport. We are the Two Mics, of course. We're going to be coming up with heroes and villains in the next hour, and there's an awful lot of heroes and villains to be choosing from. So there's no reason to be in any way conservative about that, would be my view. Now, a couple of tweets to read out to you. Here's one from Ronnie, who says, as a Sunderland fan, I'm gutted we lost Sam to England, ending up then with Porky's deadbeat mate, Mr. Moyes. Which is a bit harsh on Mr. Moyes, isn't it?
Yeah, very harsh on Mr. Moyes. Do not call David Moyes a deadbeat. He isn't. He's a very hard-working and successful manager. And, you sometimes wonder whether the club has met his aspirations or whether David's met the aspirations of Sunderland AFC.
There's a great one here from Chris.
Yeah.
He quotes you. If Liverpool had drawn all the games they should have won, they'd be second or third. They are third, you tube.
I know.
Good knowledge.
It's just whether or not they can stay there.
Well done.
Thank you, Chris.
Now, however, you will
out.
Be delighted to see or know that somebody's actually ringing up in support of you, which is such a rare occurrence. I'm going to get them straight on the phone.
Yes.
His name is Sevi. He's from Milton Keynes in Buckinghamshire. Sevi, very good morning to you. What would you like to tell us?
Morning, Mike. I've just got to side with Mr. Parry for once.
Are you sure you haven't fallen down and hit your head?
No.
Thank you.
No, Mr. Parry, you're right for once. Normally it's you that's talking all the rubbish, but it's Mr. Graham.
Thank you.
You're accusing me of talking rubbish. That's a bit harsh, Sevi.
Well, no, you are, because you said leather is only leather if it's off the skin of a cow.
That's what it is commonly known as, yes. When was the last time you bought an alligator... Hang on a second. When was the last time you bought an alligator leather handbag for your missus?
It doesn't matter what word's attached to it. I'm telling you what it is.
So you don't use the word?
No, I've been cleaning animal skins for 35 years.
Good man.
Are they not clean yet?
Dry cleaning animal skins, 35 years. Any animal skin...
That's a bit filthy animal.
Excuse me, can you just shut up, please, and let Sevi make his point? Sevi, please go on.
I actually know what I'm talking about. I've been in the dry cleaning business for 35 years, Mr. Graham. You haven't.
That's very true.
You sit
Although I did have
some
shirts stolen from a dry cleaner's recently.
To somebody who knows what they're on about.
OK, go on, carry on.
Leather, the definition of leather is the skin of an animal that is made into some kind of garment, whether it be a coat, a handbag or anything. If you were to take the skin off Mr. Perry's face and turn it into a pair of slippers,
now you're getting bizarre.
Slippers.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
This is now sounding like Hannibal Lecter.
Skin, anything.
Right. Okay. So, Sevy, what do you call pigskin? What do you call alligator skin? Do you call it leather?
Leather.
Right. Okay.
And definition, that's what you said.
All right.
Mr. Perry,
if I came to you, Sevy, and I said, I've got this leather jacket, it needs cleaning, right?
Yeah.
What would that leather jacket be made of?
It could be made of anything.
No.
Because I wouldn't assume. Anyway, I'll tell you one thing. Half the leather jackets that people think are leather from a cow are actually pigskin. If you look at some jackets, you look at them under a magnifying glass, you'll see hair follicles. They're pigskin. Pigskin is leather. As is alligator skin.
I think you've been spending too much time with these skins, Sevy. I think it's driven you a bit mad.
Not at all. Sevy,
it's an absolute fact, Mr. Graham. You don't have to believe it, but it's a fact.
Sevy, leather bags, right? Leather bags. And ladies sometimes pay, and this is no joke, £20,000 for a leather bag.
Well, they're mad.
Yeah, exactly. How can that leather be so much better than the leather that you would make a child satchel out of? I mean, I just can't understand how you can improve the quality of leather by £20,000. Well,
the quality of the leather depends where it comes from on the animal. So if you had a really, really soft feel leather jacket, okay, it will come off somewhere where the leather is very, very soft and flexible, like the stomach. If you had a leather jacket which was sort of like a biker's jacket, right, it would come off somewhere like the back and the neck, where the actual the skin is thicker.
Right, I see.
What about leather trousers?
I don't wear them.
You don't wear them?
No, don't ask you if you wear them, but what are they made of?
Leather trousers can be made.
What are they made of? Leather, right?
Anything. You could have alligator skin leather trousers.
Well, then they'd be alligator trousers.
No, there wouldn't be alligator trousers at all.
What do you call snakeskin shoes? Leather?
Leather, yes, they are.
Absolute rubbish. You've completely lost the plot, Sevy.
It's a fact.
You've lost the plot.
So crocodile shoes.
So I've been cleaning them.
All right, what about crocodile shoes? Because there's a name, but it's not called
crocodile shoes.
So you're going to tell Jimmy Nail he should rename his song Leather Shoes?
You don't seem to understand the point. Anything that comes off an animal is made into some kind of garment is leather.
Yeah, but I think, Sevy, what you are, right?
Anything.
What you are, Sevy, is a man who is an expert who has got so close to his subject that you've forgotten what common parlance is, right? You know when you talk to scientists and they can't explain what they do? That's what you are.
Thank you very much. But I just phoned up to pick you right because you're wrong, Mr.
Exactly.
For once, Paul, keep you're right.
Thank you very much indeed, Sevy. Sevy, you haven't answered my question, and that is, why can people charge £25,000 for a bag made of the same leather that basically, a leather jacket's made of?
It just comes off a different part of the animal, Mike.
Well, yeah, but it can't be that much, distinctive, can it? Can it?
Of course not. They're
I'm still interested in making a pair of slippers out of Porky's face. How do we do that?
Leather slippers.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Sevy, that Mr. Graham has been so excitable during the course of your noble attempt to try and inform us. But you have to understand, whenever he's found out to be wrong, he just tries to drown out the source of the information.
Yeah.
In this case, yourself. Sevy, thank you very much for calling us.
Thank you very much, Sevy. Very, very helpful and very informative. Well, the difference between you and I is when I'm told that I'm not doing something right or I'm saying something wrong, I defend my position, whereas you say, let's change the subject and talk about something else. No. So let's do that now so that we can have a bit of both.
You bluntly tried to deny that Sevy, an expert in his field...
He's wrong.
No, he's not. He's right, because he's an expert.
No, he's an expert in the way that, as I've said to you, in the way that's a bit harsh, in the way that certain scientists are unable to speak in the common parlance of the ordinary working man and woman in the street.
Yes.
Let's talk to Derek, because he's got something to say about Liverpool and Mr. Klopp. Derek, a very good morning to you.
Very good morning, guys. How are you all doing?
Yeah, very well.
What would you like to say, Derek?
So I made the lovely trip up from London to old sunny Liverpool yesterday, and I knew before I got there, I already said we were going to lose. So I put a cheeky bet, Crystal Palace to win. Guess what? Crystal Palace won.
I can't believe you bet against your own team. You bet against your own team.
I bet against Liverpool. I knew we were going to lose yesterday. It is the same problem we've had. We've got no leader. We've got no passion. It's unbelievable. We already knew we were going to concede. When that goal went in, they just looked at each other as if to say, yeah, that was going to happen.
Yeah, well, how come you've got good results against top six sides? How come you can do it against... Go on.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing we have is Klopp's system is fantastic, but there's no plan B. It's great pressing, so we've got our high pressing, but we can't high press when there's 10 guys in their own half. How are you going to high press it? They just pass around you. Or they do option number 2 and go long ball. As soon as they get it, they play it out. When we've got the Man Cities, the Chelseas, the Arsenals that want to play it out from the back, it don't work because we'll close them. We'll shut the channels down and we'll get that ball back.
But when you say...
they're not doing that.
When you say, Derek, there's no passion, I mean, Jurgen Klopp's a pretty passionate manager. When he came to Liverpool, he impressed everyone with his ability. Yeah, no, I know, but surely he can give that passion to the players. Is that what he's not doing?
This is one of the things that I love about Klopp. Klopp on the touchline is fantastic. One of the things I saw yesterday, which is kind of becoming a norm now, was the only player I saw turn around and have a go at Divock Origi yesterday was Coutinho, telling him, why are you coming to me? Run the channel. I can't pass it to you. We had 6 or 7 balls that the run should have been made. If we had a Sturridge or we had a Mane, they would have made that run. It seems like we were playing on 2 different lengths. I've been going to Liverpool for 15 years now, and when Gerrard was there, when Carragher was there, these guys would absolutely fume at you if Milner played a pass like that. Milner played a pass that wasn't even necessary, and no one said nothing. It was just, okay, yeah, that's the norm. These guys would absolutely give you a ripping and say, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Fuming. None of that happened. None of that happened. It was just they scored, let's just trot back to the halfway line and see what we can do.
All right, well, if that's what you say, Derek, but I think Derek's a bit of a flaky Liverpool fan.
That's a bit harsh.
I mean, go around betting against your own team.
He's just taking the time to call into Talk Sport. What are you slagging him off for?
I'm not slagging him off. I'm
just calling him flaky.
Yeah, I think it is flaky to bet against your own team. I think
that's what Andy Jacobs does. He admitted that just the other day.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did he?
He's got now, because he started doing it a while ago.
Yes.
And he's now got a sort of superstition about it.
Right.
And actually but he says he's different about than Derek is, because he doesn't want to win the money.
Right.
He actually wants to lose the money.
Right.
And see his team win.
So he's sort of...
But he's now locked in this sort of vortex of doom where he has to bet on the other team.
That's almost like that strange religious cult who put barbed wire around the top of their leg, don't they? And then keep turning and turning it until it eats into their leg.
Oh, are you talking about like the people that were in the Da Vinci Code?
That's right, exactly, yeah. Yeah, it's like that, isn't it, for Andy?
What do you know about them?
Sorry?
What do you know about them?
Only what I read in the Da Vinci Code.
Oh, right.
But I never got all the way through, actually.
No, of course not.
I got about 2/3 of the way through.
They didn't mention you, that's why.
No.
You just gave up reading it.
No, I lost the plot when they started telling me that he started... Didn't that book try to prove that Jesus was actually a woman? Didn't it?
I can't remember.
No, I think it did.
Really?
Or
that she wore leather trousers.
No, you idiot.
And some barbed wire.
Don't be blasphemous. Or that there was a woman at the Last Supper.
I don't know what's happened in the last 10 minutes of this show. It was that bloke Hannibal Lecter that came on who's thrown everybody.
No,
he wanted to make slippers out of your face.
I'm sorry, but I think your attitude in the last 15 or 20 minutes has been extremely trite. Like you might have been on some sort of, high fizzy drink or something like that.
It's the peyote I'm chewing.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
Since I gave up the cigarettes.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport. Lots more to come. Good afternoon. I'm Mike Graham. He's Mike Parry. You're listening to the Two Mikes on Talk Sport. We've got loads coming up in this hour, including, of course, another episode of Heroes and Villains. There's so many to talk about, so many to get through. I'm not sure we can only do 2 each. We'll have to do 3. We shall see. 08717 22 3344. You can tweet us, of course, at the Two Mikes, at Mike Parry 8, at IROMG, or go and find us on our Facebook page as well, the Two Mikes. You're listening to the Two Mikes with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. So, lots of tweets coming in fairness to Mr. Lecter, as Andy says this. Porky did introduce the free world to the sports franchise, the Washington Leatherfaces, which is true.
Yes, I did.
Instead of the leather necks.
That's right, absolutely. Now then, it says here, MG should take Porky's advice and stop drowning out the subject matter expert, says Peter Arkwright. And another one, Tom.
Right.
Because our audience are very perceptive, right? He says, Mr. Parry, you are the sensible one today.
Yeah.
MG is being an absolute donut.
Donut?
So you're being a donut, yeah.
Well, anyone who uses that word as a form of insult, I would say, is not all the full ticket. Lee says this, I'm with MG here. There's a difference between definition and usage, and that is precisely my point. You know, Hannibal Lecter, who was on earlier, is entirely right. He is an expert. He's been cleaning animal skins for 35 years, so he knows what he's talking about.
Yes.
But in common parlance, leather is usually only referring to cow skin, not anything else.
Well, you know, you don't get what he was trying to tell you because
you're incapable of understanding the difference between usage and definition.
You're wrong. Anyway, David here then puts out a picture of a huge sort of what would you call that? A teddy bear type face? No, a monkey type face.
It's a monkey. And it's not a monkey type face, it is a monkey's face.
It's a monkey's face, which is light in colour, except for the dark nose and the dark hair on the top of the head, okay?
Well, you might say it's a sort of chimpanzee.
It's sort of chimpanzee. And he says, after the ridiculous analogy to taking skin off my face, making slippers and calling them leather...
Well, that wasn't my idea.
He says... We already make slippers out of Porky's face.
Yeah.
Ha ha. And then sends in this insulting picture.
That's about the most time anybody could have taken to describe a 141-word tweet.
Exactly.
Jack says, Porky's face is so fat that after making a pair of leather slippers, there would be enough left over for a matching dressing gown.
That's really funny, that.
Now, for example, let me give you an example of usage, right? If you said to me...
Why? I don't want an example of usage.
Well, usage rather than definition. If I said to you, I'm going to go and see my four-legged friend, what do you think I'd be talking about?
A horse.
What?
A horse.
Ah, rubbish. Your four-legged friend is a dog.
All right, well, a dog. But I mean...
you can't mistake the two.
Well, they've both got 4 legs to start off with.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So I could be talking about a wombat.
No, rubbish.
I could be talking about a badger. But a four-legged friend, generally speaking, means a dog.
No, in the Wild West, right? In the Wild West...
well, we're not in the Wild West.
What cowboys used to say as they were drinking 3 fingers of whiskey in the local saloon was, my four-legged friend will get me home.
No, they never said that.
It was an expression.
You find me one clip from any movie made about the Wild West.
But the movies weren't real.
In which somebody refers to their horse as their four-legged friend.
No, the movies are not real.
It doesn't happen.
The movies are mythical. But I've read the journals of the real cowboys.
Sure, they're not just fictional.
I've read the journals of the real cowboys, the men who forged the West, who made the West, who made America. But the great ones.
Like who?
The great historians.
Well, can you name one?
Daniel E. Paisley was a...
No, you've made that up.
No, I have not.
You have. I can tell when you're making names up.
I have not made it up.
What about Wild Bill Hickok?
Well, Wild Bill Hickok was
he was a sheriff, wasn't he?
Yeah, but he was just a wild guy. I mean, that's the problem. You couldn't trust anything
Wild
he
Bill.
said.
What was the other guy's name? I'll look it up again for you.
No, you don't need to look it up.
You see, you've made it up, haven't you?
I haven't made it up, and I'm not going into that. This is a silly subject. What we should be talking about is what I said to you was that the four-legged friend was known as the friend of the cowboy because the cowboys used to drink bottles of whiskey, firewater, which they would then give to the Native Americans to make sure the Native Americans got into a stupor and they could go and sort of rob all their sort of horses and that kind of stuff. And the horse would know where to take the cowboy who owned it home to. Like to the barn or to the chuck house.
Chuck house?
Yeah,
What's that?
Well, that's where the cowboys used to sleep on the
chuck house
on the range. Yeah, and all that kind of stuff. But anyway,
I wouldn't sleep on a range if I were you because it's normally very hot.
Listen, talking about four-legged animals.
Yeah.
Have you seen the reports about this fantastic big dog called? I don't know what it's called, but it's a Great Dane. It's a Great Dane. It's 15-stone dog.
You don't know what it's called?
Well, I don't know what it's called.
Well, it must have a name.
Well, it has got a name.
Well, find it then.
Well, haven't you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen the dog, yeah.
I think it's fantastic,
I've seen very many different pictures of it, strange enough. In some pictures, it seems to have an appendage. In other pictures, it doesn't.
This is a family show.
Yeah, I know that.
Please, this is a family show.
I'm just wondering about the moral compass of some newspapers who've decided that it's obviously too distressing to cast your eyes upon what can only be described as a perfectly normal piece of a dog's anatomy.
I don't want to get into that. Anyway, this dog is 5 years old.
Sometimes used to describe something that's very good.
This is dog's... There's something wrong with you today, I'm certain.
No, there isn't.
This dog is 5 years old. It's called Balthazar.
Balthazar. There you go.
Great Dane, weighs 15 stone, 6 pounds.
Yeah.
Britain's heaviest dog.
Yes.
He's 3 foot 3 inches high and 7 foot from nose to tail.
He lives in Nottingham.
Lives in Nottingham. That's absolutely right. Yeah, where his owner is business analyst.
It costs £108 a month to feed this dog.
Yeah,
that's incredible, isn't it?
He isn't a fat dog. You can still see his ribs.
They haven't photoshopped those out, have they?
No. He said Balthazar's a lovely temperament, likes to play with their children, and is best friends with the family's 3 cats.
Yes.
They see themselves as a pack, and will usually all come out and walk together. We have 3 cats: Magic, Buffy, and Leo. Buffy and Leo sleep on either side of Balthazar when they go to bed. So it's quite a nice family sort of picture.
It is.
However, is it responsible to keep a dog that size in a domestic house?
Well, if the house is big enough, I dare say.
Well,
I
that's
must
what I
say.
mean. But most houses aren't big enough to accommodate a blinking 15-stone Great Dane.
Well, yeah, but I presume they must have quite a big house, otherwise they wouldn't have that particular type of dog. I must admit, whenever I see a Great Dane, I'm always absolutely staggered because some of them are as big as a small pony.
Oh, they are. They're huge. Now, you're not you're not a fan of Coronation Street, are you?
I'm not. Well, it's not that I'm not a fan of it. I've just never really seen it.
No,
I
am. I love it. I've been watching it for 50 years. I think it's great.
Have you?
And I try to keep up with the plot as much as I can. Now, the point is that there used to be a dog in that called Schmeichel.
Schmeichel?
Yeah.
Well, as in Peter Schmeichel?
Yes.
Or Casper Schmeichel?
Peter, actually, because when Peter Schmeichel was his height, that's when the dog was introduced into the plot.
Okay.
And, of course, Coronation Street...
Well, they film it in the shadow of Old Trafford, don't they?
They used to. They've moved it now, but certainly they're used to it.
Sure, because we saw ITV's main studios up there, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
When we were at Salford Quays.
Yeah, I mean, you may well be right. In the old one, it was right next to the Victoria and Albert Hotel.
Yeah.
And you'd see a lot of the Coronation Street actors in there, and that's just down the road from Old Trafford, so to speak,
Yes.
Trafford Park. But anyway, the point I'm making is the dog suddenly disappeared from the plot, so to speak, and then they had to make up some kind of a plot line as to what happened. But I'm told by people on the inside of the business that it just became too difficult to handle a dog because dogs like that are not nasty or aggressive, but they're increbly clumsy.
Well, also, they get in the way, don't they?
They smash things, because they don't mean to if they swish their tail.
Well, my dog, you have to be very careful if he's around anywhere near if you've got, drinks on a table.
Yes.
And you can't have a coffee table anywhere near a dog.
No.
Because their tail will just knock everything over.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. And whilst, you can laugh it off occasionally and, he's just a dog.
Yeah.
If he goes around wrecking the house all the time, then it becomes an irritant. And I think... I'm told, the insider people tell me that the dog just had to go because they were no longer able to control it on set.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I've got some more better news for you as well. You're having a bit of a red letter day here, Porky.
Oh, yeah.
Because somebody called Tommy has sent us, and we might have to play it coming out of the next break, a song by Roy Rogers called My Four-Legged Friend.
You can see. You're absolutely right.
We'll have to hear it.
You're absolutely right.
We may have to hear it. It's
Roy Rogers, one of the most famous cowboys of all time.
A four-legged friend, he'll never let you down. He's honest and faithful.
He's talking about his dog here, right?
No.
Are you sure?
Of course I'm sure.
How do you know he's not talking about his dog?
This is Roy Rogers,
right?
right?
Let's just a bit more, right? Talking about his dog.
No.
A woman's like cactus, and cactus can hurt, 'cause she's
Sexist.
just a tight-waisted, winky-eyed flirt. She'll soon have your land and your pride and your gold, and bury you deep long before you grow old.
Why is he attacking women?
A four-legged friend, he'll never let you down.
It's about his dog.
He's honest and faithful right up to the end. That wonderful 1, 2, 3, four-legged friend.
It's not mentioned a horse.
It's a horse. He's not mentioned a dog once.
Yeah, well, it would be a dog.
Hang on, excuse me.
It would be a dog.
Don't be ridiculous. The only cowboy that rides around on a dog is the Rochdale cowboy.
Well, rides around on a dog.
It's hard being a cowboy.
Well, nobody rides around on a dog. Remember that
they
dog in the Clint Eastwood films, in The Outlaw Josie Wales?
No.
Where he kept spitting on the dog, but the dog kept following him around.
No, excuse me.
I'm not convinced that he's singing about a horse.
It's hard being a cowboy in Rochdale, because people laugh when I ride past an Alsatian dog.
Right.
No, the rest of the cowboy world, including Roy Rogers, the most famous cowboy ever, ride around on four-legged horses, okay?
Four-legged horses?
Yeah, not dogs.
As opposed to what, two-legged horses?
No, you idiot. But what I'm saying is a four-legged friend is a horse, and it's as simple as that. Now then, listen up here, please.
Yeah, go on.
Because you are listening to the Two Mics here on Talk Sport, and we are with Wix. Get 20% off all ready-to-fit kitchen products when you spend £75 or more. And that includes kitchen units, appliances, worktops, sinks, taps and accessories. Thank you very much.
Gary says this, please post a pic of that big dog. And you are right, MG. Corrie is near Old Trafford and has only just moved there in the last few years.
Exactly.
And we saw it from the hotel we were staying in.
Did,
when we did a show at the Lowry.
Right.
And it's the ITV studios. Anyway, somebody who wants to have a word with you about something that he says you've got wrong today, which is unusual because so far Porky's been right about almost everything, is Gary, the Everton fan. Gary, very good afternoon to you.
Afternoon, chap.
Yeah, hi, Gary.
What would you like to correct Porky on something, Gary?
No, it's not actually. But I don't know what your colleague told you. The purpose of my call is actually an invitation to Porky. It's an invitation that, I'm an Evertonian. I'm a season ticket holder.
Good man.
Formerly actually of the suite that I think Porky sits in, but I'm now a true man of the people and back in with the true fans. But there we go. I made an invitation online to TalkSport early on in the season, which was disappointingly ignored. It's a genuine invitation to Porky.
Yeah.
But we often hear of Porky either stealing cabs from others in Liverpool or struggling to get cabs to and from Liverpool Lime Street.
Yes.
And my invitation to Porky, I know he's going to match on Sunday. We played Chelsea at 2:05. I live outside of Liverpool at the moment, but I travel into Liverpool to collect my nephew before the game.
Yes.
And the invitation is to collect Porky from Lime Street Station, and if necessary, unless he's staying in Liverpool to undertake some bladderisation, to take him back to Lime Street afterwards. And I should add, Paul, I appreciate it's not the same as a private jet with Rod Stewart, but and it's a big but. I do drive quite a nice car, and it's in fact the car which MG's car is a total rip-off of, by the way.
Yes, what is it?
What, you're talking about? Excuse me, you're talking about the car of the year, Gary. You do know that my car is one car of the world car of the year, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I've heard about it all too much.
So, Gary, what's your vehicle?
It's a Range Rover Evoque.
A Range Rover, OK.
Oh, Evoque.
Now, do you have a cocktail cabinet in the back of this Range Rover?
Because Porky can bring one with him if you like.
Yeah, that can be arranged.
Yeah, OK. And, what colour is it?
And also, I can get a defibrillator in the back as well, if necessary. It's a nice black, blacked out window.
Defibrillator will not be needed. Sorry. Look, I tell you what, Gary, it's very, very kind of you. And do you know what? It's awfully good of you to try and help me out there. But actually, I cannot accept your invitation on the grounds that I'm not really too sure what I'm going to be doing the minute I get into Liverpool. And I'm never sure what sort of time I'm leaving at the end of the game to head back to Stockbroker Belt, Surrey. But thank you very much indeed for being so generous of spirit. It's good of you.
Gary, you're very kind. Thank you so much. Why can't you just take the guy up on his offer?
Well, because I tell you why.
I didn't know you were going to Everton at the weekend, by the way.
Didn't you?
You didn't mention that.
Haven't I?
No.
Sorry, well, you my diary keeper, are you?
I'm waiting for the invitation to Goodison Park. You know, you go there about, 10 times a season?
Yes.
And I've not yet had an invitation to your lavish, hospitality arena.
Oh, well, sorry, a year ago you didn't work on Sundays. 6 months
ago,
you don't
socialise
on Sundays because you prefer to be with your
family.
family.
Well, I do prefer to be with my family, yes, because if I have an opportunity to spend time with my children, I like to be able to do that. If something comes up which makes it difficult for me to do that, I have to make that decision. Then I have to try and make it up in between. I'll be going to see my kids during the week this week because I didn't see them on Sunday. However, working and going to a football match is not necessarily the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing, but it means that you're taking time away from your domestic obligations.
Well, you can invite the kids as well if you want.
No.
I mean, we went to a football match yesterday with 2 kids. You didn't complain about that.
No, they're smashing kids as well.
Well, my kids are smashing kids.
Yeah, they are. I agree.
Well, you're saying they're not?
There. No, I'm not saying that.
What are you saying about my children?
What I'm saying is there's an added responsibility to take youngsters onto...
Well, it's not a responsibility you have to worry about.
Into an adult world. Now, listen, talking about adult world... I
didn't hear you complaining yesterday.
And talking about... Excuse me, just for a minute. Talking about... was there a cocktail bar in the back of... Was it Young Gary's... Was it Gary?
Gary
who had the Range
Rover.
Gary,
the Everton fan. Yeah.
Is that him? Yeah, Gary. Yeah. And he said he wasn't sure if he had. Big row's broken out in one of our rather better neighbourhoods, Notting Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Now, there's an authoress called Young Chang who...
Young Chang?
Yes.
What's she written?
Wild Swans.
Oh, yeah, I know it well.
And she wrote it a long time ago, and it sold 20 million copies. I mean, this woman is a cultural icon, OK? Now, she's 65 now. She lives in West London. Now, one of her neighbours, right, has submitted a planning application, which has apparently been accepted, to literally dig, an old-fashioned well into their back garden.
Right.
But a huge well.
A well for water, you mean?
Well, it's the same construction, the same shape. You know, this huge well is going to be built on a huge circumference, huge diameter.
And going down deep into the ground.
Going down deep into the ground.
Yeah.
But what it consists of is you lift the lid on it, right, and there is a spiral staircase. And you go down the spiral staircase, and all the way you're going down, you are in fact surrounded by thousands of bottles of wine.
Wow.
It's a wine store.
A wine store.
It's a very sophisticated, very expensive wine store.
Right. Well, do you know what? You're going to have to tell me more about this coming up in a little while.
And she's getting upset about it.
See, I'm not surprised, but it's the sort of thing you could do if you had a house, which you don't.
Yeah. Two-man teams from 16 nations battling it out at the Centurion Club in St Albans next week.
TalkSport has joined forces
with the
European...
month. I beg your pardon.
When is it?
Next month.
Next month. TalkSport has joined forces with the European Tour to give away this exclusive prize, including clubhouse access at the event for you and a friend, 2 nights in the nearby Hilton Hotel, lunch on both days, and a £200 voucher to spend at the European Tour's online shop.
Absolutely right. Now, Ryder Cup pairing Chris Wood and Andy Sullivan will be playing for English Pride in the group stage on Saturday, the 6th of May. Then the top 2 teams from each group will qualify for the knockout phase the following day.
Absolutely right. Golf Sixes is a fresh new concept which is sure to create a passionate atmosphere between players and fans alike. There will be exciting innovations inside and outside the ropes, including a family-friendly fan zone and even the chance to interact with players. It's golf, but not as you know it. Enter now at talksport.com/win or visit europeantour.com/tickets for more info.
Absolutely.
Now, are you ready for this?
Yes.
That means, of course, that we are about to embark on yet another episode of Heroes and Villains. I think the score is something like... it's a bit closer, this one, than the 1 Minute Moan. I think it's something like sort of 9-5 or something like that.
Yeah, I always give you a start just to make you feel good.
Is that right?
And I'll claw it back throughout the rest of the season
of
the competition.
Well, good luck clawing it all back.
Yes.
But would you like to go first? What we do is, for those who don't know, we have 2 heroes and 2 villains, which we then describe to all of you.
Yes.
And then Izzy, behind the glass, our producer, will decide which one she likes better.
Okay.
Sometimes you win it if you get sort of 3 out of the 4 better than mine.
Yes.
And sometimes I win it if I get 3 of the 4 better than yours.
Yes,
so,
indeed.
Would you like to go first?
I'll go first.
Go on then.
It's got to be Sam Allardyce.
He's
my first hero because, quite frankly, I thought he was badly done to on the England fiasco when he had to step down from his job after his first game, and he didn't stay on the canvas long. Sam, he bounced back up. He got back into a job at Palace where he's done a magnificent job. And just to emphasise, how different things are at Palace now and the difference he's personally made, he goes off to Liverpool yesterday, and his boy Benteke scores 2, and he comes away with the points. Fantastic result and a fantastic job by Sam Allardyce.
And they're now up to 12th, of course.
12th in the Premier League.
And you'd have to say, even though he now says they're not safe yet, I mean, they pretty much are, aren't they?
Yeah, they are safe because if you look at...
mathematically not quite.
Not mathematically not quite, but I mean, for instance, people have forgotten that Burnley have slipped right down there because they've got a fantastic home record but can't win or even get points away from home.
Right.
Palace have done both. They've won both home and away.
Okay. Well, until they're safe, I'd say that's not quite heroic action. I'll tell you what is heroic, though. My first hero is Josh Griffiths.
Right.
You know who that is? Josh Griffiths, yeah. He was playing running in the marathon yesterday.
Running in the marathon,
which, of course, took place in London.
Yep.
He belongs to a running club called the Swansea Harriers.
Right.
But he's technically an amateur runner.
Yeah.
But guess what? He ran in the London Marathon yesterday and actually came in 13th. He passed on the final sort of run in.
Yeah.
From East London into West London.
Yes.
He passed loads and loads of elite finishers who all had their names on their vests, because when you're an elite runner, you have your name on your vest. He only had his number on his vest, right? He's 23 years old. He's from Wales. Yeah. It's the first time he's ever run in a marathon.
Yeah.
And do you know what the time was that he did it in?
No.
2 hours, 14 minutes and 49 seconds.
Really?
Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. He beat Olympians.
Yeah.
He beat all sorts of professional athletes that have been running marathons for years and years and years and years. And he said, I didn't realise what I'd done, really, when I crossed the line. And then suddenly it all hit me. He said, I would say mile 25, I started to think, I'm pretty sure I passed everybody. But you're not really very sure until you've actually done it. He passed every single amateur runner in the race.
Really?
And came in the top 20 of the marathon. I can see that you have absolutely no interest in this. But what this guy has done is truly heroic.
I would describe that as absolutely average.
Really?
I mean, who cares about him?
Who cares about the London Marathon?
Yeah, right. Now
really?
then, let's go
You're
for...
seriously saying that?
Let's go for a villain.
Go on then.
Okay, now my first villain, believe it or not, is a man who, in the past, I have shown great support for.
Oh, yeah.
But it's young Tim Sherwood.
Tim Sherwood?
Yeah.
Steve?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, well, because he has been, director of football at Swindon, we think.
What do you mean you think?
Well, because he's had a role which has been a little bit unclear.
Yeah.
And Swindon are now going down, I'm afraid. They are going to be relegated because they just haven't been up to it, right? And what you have to say is that after the result on Saturday, which put them down, or result over the weekend, which put them down, Tim said, well, it wasn't my job. He said, his actual quotes were that, I'm not getting paid to do these things.
Well, what's he getting paid for?
Well, this is what I'm saying. This is why it's so unclear. And he sort of indicated or insinuated that, it wasn't really a full-time job for me. It's not my fault. And that has really riled quite a lot of Swindon fans. But also, if that's the case, what was Tim doing at the club? Perhaps he could define that, and what were his responsibilities? And I think it's a little bit of a punch in the solar plexus to the Swindon fans that they thought they had a director of football. When things went wrong, they were told that they haven't. So I'm sorry, but on this occasion, Tim to me is a villain.
Next time you see him driving out of a football club, I'd caution you not to draw attention to yourself.
Yeah, well,
because he's probably listening to this show, and he might come over and pop you one on the nose.
He probably is, and if he wants to give us a call and defend himself, he's very welcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm afraid you've missed the major villain of the weekend, which I'm about to now name. It is, of course, Ilie Nastase.
I left that open for you.
The man who has now been blackballed by Wimbledon
Yes.
because they used to invite him into Wimbledon. I mean, I suppose in the world of tennis, it's the most awful thing that could ever happen to you, is that you're now going to be disinvited.
Yes.
But clearly over the years, he's been going a bit mad, hasn't he, Nastase? He turns up wearing full military regalia in the box at Wimbledon, the Royal Box, on the grounds that, he's got some kind of national service type rank of colonel or something. He looks a bit like Colonel Gaddafi.
He does.
Which is a bit mad, isn't it?
After his appalling behaviour at the club in Romania, he was banned. But
he's now been banned.
He didn't matter. He stormed back in, went straight into the VIP suite, took his seat, and when was reminded that he'd been banned, he sparked out, "This is Romania! And in Romania I can do anything I want!"
Does he think he's like ruling Romania or something?
I think he thinks that he's a very senior and popular figure within the community that is Romania.
Yes, indeed. But he's showing very, very poor form by swearing and making our tennis girls burst into tears.
It's not on.
Terrible things he said as well.
He is truly a villain. I was going to have him, but I thought I'd leave him for you.
OK, well, he is my first villain, so back to you.
Right, now, my second hero, it's not very often that I actually go for two managers in the same heroic week.
Yes.
But in my view, you just can't ignore Antonio Conte.
Yes.
I mean, his tactics in getting Chelsea through to the final of the FA Cup were so knife edge in the sense that it could have been perilous. He left out two of his best players. We all know that.
Yeah.
The game was a 2-2, obviously. It was on a knife edge. Spurs were playing better and should have taken the game. But he somehow managed to calm his team to get over those wobbles when they were pulled back from the lead twice.
Yeah.
And then put his subs on, Hazard being perhaps the most spectacular one. And he won 4-2. I mean, tactically, it was brilliant, and he deserves everything he's going to get this season if he keeps making decisions like that. A true hero.
Yes, absolutely right, especially if you're a Chelsea fan.
Yes.
My second hero is going to have to be Lionel Messi, I'm afraid.
Right.
Because the El Clasico, which you would have heard live on TalkSport 2, I think, last night.
Yes.
I mean, he's now been described by Barcelona's boss, Luis Enrique, as the best player in history.
Yeah.
Now, it was only last week, after a bit of a sort of dud pair of performances against Juventus, that Messi, people were asking the question, and I think Adrian Durham was one of them, whether Messi and Suarez and Neymar had sort of reached the end of their life, and they were no longer able to score goals anymore, and whether Cristiano Ronaldo was actually really now finally going to be crowned the king of football.
Right.
Well, Messi has just thrown all of that back out of the basket, hasn't he?
Yes,
But he
indeed.
scores a remarkable winning goal
Indeed.
in injury time against Real Madrid,
Indeed.
which has not only now sort of reignited La Liga, but it does mean that very possibly, even though they've got a game in hand, they could still catch Real and they could still win the title.
It would be spectacular if they did. I think
which would be fantastic. And as if that wasn't enough, it was his 500th goal for Barcelona.
Yes, and I have to say, whilst not a bad choice, if all that happens and Barcelona do prevail, then he truly will have been a hero.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I don't think he's crossed the line.
Right, so that doesn't work for you and Sam Allardyce, but it does work for me.
No, it works for Sam Allardyce because Sam Allardyce has crossed the line.
No,
Sam Allardyce has saved Palace from imminent relegation.
Technically not still, hasn't actually happened.
Well, believe me, he will. I mean, it's much more likely that Sam Allardyce is in charge of a team that will not be relegated than Lionel Messi is a member of a team that will win La Liga. Yes.
You don't think you've now jinxed both of those situations?
I haven't jinxed. I don't jinx anything, right?
You've jinxed Leeds.
No.
You jinxed Spurs by tipping them to win against Chelsea.
Nothing to do with me.
And you jinxed Manchester City by telling them that they were going to win against Arsenal.
The reason people think about the Porky Jinx is because I'm so astute that I point out those who should be performing. I point out the realities of life, okay?
Yeah. By the way, Dazza wishes to point out to you that when you were stumbling and bumbling around trying to get that read out of your face, whether it's next week or next month, he says next week is next month. #, you plank.
Well, there you go. You see? A double dose of positivity from the Portmeister.
So both were right.
Yes, absolutely.
Right,
yeah.
Come on, your next villain then.
Right, my next villain.
Yeah.
Now, I'd never heard of this guy who was running the marathon because there's like 30,000 people who run the marathon.
Well, he's a massive hero.
That you say. Now, a massive villain for me is a lady called Hannah Havers.
Hannah Havers?
Hannah Havers.
All right.
35-year-old. A woman who served this country and her community and her family with a plume, okay?
A plum.
Yeah. Or a plume, depending on which way you pronounce it. I pronounce it a plume. When she was a police officer, okay?
Oh, yes. I know what you're going to say.
She has now given up being a police officer in Maidenhead in Berkshire to become a pole dancer. And
How does that make her a villain?
Well, of course she's a villain.
Well, she's allowed to become a pole dancer.
She's a lap dancer, right?
What's wrong with that?
Well, lap dancers do not hold as much respect in society as police officers. And anybody...
I think that depends on which society you're talking about.
Anybody who decides to change their lifestyle from police officer to pole dancer, lap dancer, term it as you wish, is, in my view, somebody who has degenerated the standing that they had in society and in life.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
She's my villain.
Is that right? Well, my second villain is American Airlines. Following on the heels of United Airlines, right? After they dragged a guy, who wasn't willing to be dragged off a plane on the grounds that they'd overbooked the flight.
Yes.
Apparently, there was an incident over the weekend with American Airlines, right, in which there was a flight attendant who took a pushchair from a woman who was travelling with 2 young children, right, hitting her in the process of taking it off her. Yeah. Then started to get into an argument with a bunch of other passengers, and at one point actually threatened to punch a passenger. Oh. Now, this is an airline steward.
Now, hang
who
on.
works for American Airlines, right?
Now, you started this story with the word apparently.
What do you mean?
Well, do you know if this story is actually an accurate account of what happened?
Yes, it is, because American Airlines have suspended the flight attendant in question.
Whilst pending an investigation, I think.
What, you're telling me that you don't believe the story?
I'm saying...
You are. Well, you're like the head of United Airlines. You went, all of the staff acted completely within... unfortunately for you, Porky, once again, you've got this completely around your ears. A video is now circulating on social media which shows the attendant coming to blows with another passenger who threatened him after the altercation with the woman.
Oh, dear.
So I'm afraid there is a video. There is a problem. United Airlines was one. This is now American Airlines, so they are the biggest villains of the weekend as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. And the airline have said this in a statement. What we see on this video does not reflect our values or how we care for our customers. Yeah, thank goodness for that. The actions of our team member captured here do not appear to reflect patience or empathy. No, because he's threatening to punch a passenger.
Yeah, pretty vacuous, that one.
2 values necessary for customer care. In short, we are disappointed by these actions.
I think you've just blown your chances of winning this one.
Really? Well, we shall see. Izzy will decide, and she'll let us know coming up next on TalkSport.
Right, now then, this is the 2 Mics. We're on TalkSport with Wix. Get 20% off all ready-to-fit kitchen products when you spend £75 or more, including kitchen units, appliances, worktops, sinks, taps and accessories. Thank you.
There you go. Simon from Burton says this. Hey, Porky, hero of the week should be Nigel Clough. He kept Burton Albion in the Championship on a non-league budget.
Yeah, okay.
Porky, are you blind, man, he says.
Am I blind?
Yeah, because you didn't mention Nigel Clough.
Well, I'm sorry, but I mean, there are a lot of contenders. Only 2 contenders
make
the final cut.
Somebody's also said to me, can't believe that you didn't pick Ramos for nearly trying to break Lionel Messi's leg. Yeah, but you can't have 2 people playing in the same game.
No, you can't.
You can't have Messi as a hero and Ramos as a villain. It doesn't work. But we'll find out from Izzy soon what the precise result is.
That's right. Now, the expression I used there was did not make the final cut, okay?
Yes.
But guess who did make the final cut over the weekend?
The final cut? Well,
right?
It wasn't Ian Poulter, was it?
No, it wasn't Ian Poulter.
He's now lost his card, another Porky Jinx victim.
Rory McIlroy got married over the weekend.
Did he?
It only just been revealed.
Is that right?
He married a lady in a wedding which cost £920,000.
Did he not get somebody quite big to perform at that wedding?
Well, hang on. This is. I'm just going to give you a guest list of people who were there and performed. Right. First of all, the cabaret was sung by Stevie Wonder, probably one of the biggest names.
Yes,
that's
what I thought there was somebody doing that
in the world. Yeah. And amongst the guests were Ed Sheeran. Who is one of those popular men in the world, isn't he? Yeah.
Well, certainly his records are.
Yeah. Jimmy Nesbitt, who is, of course, the...
James Nesbitt, the guy from...
highly talented actor.
Yes.
The latest thing I saw him in was The Secret, which was a brilliant four-parter on...
is he not in The Missing as well?
He is in The Missing.
The original one, the first one.
I think so, yeah. The little boy lost in France on holiday and all
That's
that.
Right, yeah.
But, I mean, just a terrific actor.
Yeah.
Golfing colleague Porrick Harrington.
Right.
2 times winner of the Open, I think, isn't he?
I think so. Darren Clark would have been there as well, no? Mates with Darren Clark.
I'm sure Darren Clark was, but also amongst it, J.P. McManus. The legendary horse racer. Now, incidentally, we were in the company...
We did see Dermot Desmond, didn't we?
I was about to say, we were in the company yesterday, just a few feet away from Mr. Dermot Desmond, who I think is the major shareholder of Celtic Football Club.
He certainly is.
Is that right?
Quite a character.
Other people there, golfer Paul McGinley.
Yeah.
Shane Lowry.
Yes.
Chris Martin, the rock star.
Coldplay.
Wasn't as big a rock star as the chap we were with.
Mr. Stewart. Well, he's not been doing it for as long, let's put it that way.
That's true.
They are pretty big, though, Coldplay.
And Niall Horan.
Niall Horan, from One Direction.
From One Direction, Niall Horan, right.
Well, what are you doing now?
Well, the letter's
Why are
just
you grabbing it?
It's just been...
Well, this has been handed to you. No, it was put in the middle of us.
Well, one of us has got to open it.
Yeah, but why do you immediately grab it without saying, should I open it? Why are you suddenly doing it?
All right, do you want to do it?
Yeah.
You want to do it?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
But I don't know whether you'll tell the truth. I don't trust you.
You don't trust me?
I don't trust you.
How long have we been working together?
Just to let our audience know, this is the result of Heroes and Villains. Okay, it's just been brought in. That means there was a sturdy...
that's where the truth lies, isn't it?
There was a sturdy debate out there in the production department.
Yeah.
Well,
What do you mean, don't trust me?
Well, you gerrymander the quiz every week. You have 2 sets of questions.
Rubbish.
Everybody knows that.
No, everybody does not know that. I'll tell you what I'll do,
want to open it,
I'll make a deal with you. I'll open it, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll show it to you.
Yeah, but I'm watching.
And
I'm moving closer.
That way, okay, if it is opened in the company of... you
open this envelope.
Right, if I open it, then I can't possibly read it out wrongly, can I?
Right.
The winner is Mike Graham. Look at his face. Number 1, stronger heroes from MG. Number 2, Conte has been winning all season, so doesn't deserve to be named a hero.
Utter rubbish.
Read it and weep, Porky.
Utter rubbish. Everybody
Read it
thought
and weep.
He was going to lose it because he put out a so-called weak team.
So that's now 10-4.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
10-4.
Some people can fall out of favour around here very quickly.
Absolutely right. Here's one from Johnny who says, MG all day long in Heroes and Villains. Too much weekend bladderation by Mike Parry, I think. He should try harder.
I don't think so. Listen, I want to tell you some details about Rory's wedding. And do you know what? I feel so happy for him because I think Rory McIlroy is one of the nicest men in the public eye.
Well, you may not get that impression from his previous girlfriend to whom he was engaged and was supposed to be getting married until the wedding invitations went out and he suddenly got cold feet. Doesn't that go with James Nesbitt?
Chris Martin.
Was great. Was James... What?
Chris Martin?
No, I mean, James Cold Feet. Was that not the show?
Oh, that's right. You're absolutely... Yeah. Is Chris Martin in Coldplay?
He's in Coldplay.
Well, there you go. Coldplay,
That's
Cold
got
Feet.
nothing to do with Cold Feet.
It's the same thing. Now then, yes, I know.
How does your mind work?
Do you know what? Rory McIlroy was the most honourable man ever to have said, I don't think this wedding will work and call it off before it went ahead.
Told poor old Caroline Wozniacki a bit sooner than sending the invitations out and then saying, sorry, I don't think... I mean, you might as well have dumped her at the altar.
No, that's a matter for him and the young lady concerned. Anyway, I feel very happy for him. It says, Form 1 Direction star and keen golfer Niall Horan was said to be among guests arriving in...
It's not Dutch.
Well, sorry,
Dutch.
Yeah. Arriving in helicopters and blacked out limos.
Was it a 19-seater helicopter, though?
Wasn't it? No, that's amazing that Rod knew exactly how many seats are on his helicopter. But it happened at this fantastic place.
Is it Slane Castle?
No, Ashford Castle, once home to the Guinness family. And on the night of the wedding, Rory and Erica slept in a cottage on the grounds.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that nice?
It is nice.
That's great.
Well,
I like a bit of romance in the air, you know what I mean?
The show with a bit of lure.
Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne podcast from the Two Mikes.